Hello. Hello. You know, I have to be hydrated. Be hydrated out here. Terra chads have to be hydrated. Subhumans have to be. Well, you subhumans, I don't know. Benjamin says, if you're going to meet chicks, then take them to a hotel instead. That's kind of weird. Hey, yeah, let's go to a hotel. I mean, they're gonna be like, don't you have a place like of your own? They're gonna be wondering, like, why do you want to go to a hotel? You want to spend money? I'm not trying to spend money to bang them. You know what I mean? That's basically like you should just buy a prostitute at that point. I'm not trying to spend money to take them to a hotel, you know? That'd just be weird. That'd just be weird. Isaiah sends the first super chat. Thank you for the $5. He says, I am uploading the Saint and Subhuman versions of Playing in the Wood, respectively, at 1% now. Okay, good. Can't wait. Can't wait for that. Should be good. Playing in the Wood. Playing in the Wood. Can you be a Terra subhuman? That, oh, yeah. Those are the types of questions we need here. Can you be a Terra subhuman? Hmm? I think you can. I think you can. You know what I noticed from this clip? Um, where was this chart? Okay, so this chart back here. So let's remember where we were. 32, 36.
Rankings. Imagine being.
Oops, let me switch it over here. This chart. We're gonna get to here.
From Terra.
I just noticed that for Terra Chad it says 0%. It says 0% of the population are Terra Chads. So Terra Chad doesn't even exist. Oh man, it just gets better. Subhuman, 0.01% of the population. Apparently most of us are true normies. You're just a normie. Just a true normie. I don't know why Chad Light is underlined, but it's interesting. But yeah, it's funny. It's funny how Giga Chads are actually, so subhumans are more prevalent than Giga Chads. More common. So subhumans are more common than Giga Chads. And Terra Chads don't even exist. So yeah, it's interesting. I just thought that was funny. What is how many Giga Chads are there in the world? Let's see. How many people exist on the planet? How many people on Earth? 8.28. Well, we know there's actually probably like, I don't know, 200 million actual humans, but the rest are just crazy. reptilians and stuff. But all right, 8.28 billion. Let's do the math on this. I have to turn my phone sideways. Make sure. So that's right. So 8.28 billion times 0.001. Sure, the chat already has it. No, they don't. They're all talking to themselves. Apparently, there's a good amount of gigachads around. There's 8.2 million gigachads in the world. It's actually kind of a lot. Which means there's 82 million subhumans. Yeah. Oh man, too good. Yeah, I've heard that before. I look like David Dobrik. Heard that before. How's all the free time going, Marshall? It's been going well. I've just been enjoying it, just reading, listening to podcasts, eating. I've done some sunbathing. I don't know what Clavicular calls sunbathing. I'm sure there's a word for it, but yeah, sunbathing for like 15 minutes yesterday and today because I'm very fair skinned. I need to develop a tan very, very slowly. But you need to get that vitamin D. Yeah, I didn't work out today just because honestly I feel kind of inflamed. I feel kind of fat. I feel like I'm kind of overtrained. I don't know. Dude. I don't know. I just feel like I'm holding water or something. I feel like I need rest. We probably all need rest, to be honest. That's probably what we all need is just rest. I mean, we're all like, "Oh, this is how you get ripped. This is how you this is how you get jacked. This is how you get women. This is how you get this. This is how you get that." We're on all these like crazy diets and prescription, you know, GLPs and fucking steroids and cold plunges and 4-hour work days and optimizing brain health and nicotine a little bit to stimulate this dopamine receptor 1 and all this bullshit. And it's probably all we all need is just sleep. I mean, that's probably all we need. Like literally all of us probably just need to sleep for like 2 years, wake up, everything, like we'll be completely different people. We'll all just be completely different people. Like we're just good to go. Like everything's fine, Because everybody is so zonked out on their caffeine, man. I'm sorry, but caffeine, dude, I think caffeine is really I don't know what it is about caffeine, man, but ever since I quit back in October, I feel like my state of mind, my mental health has like gotten a lot better. Happiness has gotten a lot better. Dopamine has gotten a lot better. I think the caffeine that we consume every single day is just not it, dude. It's just not it. But everybody thinks it's normal. Nobody's gonna say that it's bad. It'll probably just exist forever, but everybody's just stressed out all the time. Cortisol's so high in society. Everybody's so stressed out, drinking all this coffee, taking all these meds, so they're not stressed out. But then if they got to be alert for their meetings and their Zoom calls and they're this and they're that, so they got to take an upper and they're spread thin between they got kids pulling them this way and that. They got to go here, they got to go there, they got to go to the grocery store. They got They got their husband or their wife that they're dealing with, and they got their job, and they got their this, and they're online, and they got some reading to do, but then they got, the house to take care of, and it's just all this bullshit. You're getting pulled every which way in that. All this information you're constantly bombarded with in your phone. You're looking at your phone every whatever. It's like people just never used to, for most of human history, they never used to be stimulated like this. They just, not even close. Not even close. Not anywhere near it. Anywhere near it. Most of them just, their entire life was just trying to figure out how to make enough money to eat, or how to eat, how to stay alive. That's it. And then the rest of the time they were just chilling. They were just straight chilling, just enjoying life, because it could end at any moment. You could get a toothache and die. Anyway. Did you quit your job? Yeah, I quit. Yeah, I quit. Yesterday was my first day of being a free man. Sleep maxing. That's what I'm about. Someone says coffee, nicotine pouches, and Ritalin is the shit, dude. Eventually you will meet your end. Well, I don't even mean like your life will end, but you will hit a wall, bro. Like eventually, if you don't stop, like your body will stop you for you. Like it'll get out of control. In one way or another, in one manifestation or another. And all these things manifest in all myriad different ways, but it will manifest in some way. Just keep that in mind. Keep prolactin and cortisol low. Yeah, I was gonna ask the same thing. How do I keep prolactin low? Anyway, should we continue with the clavicular interview? Yesterday was really fun, dude. I really enjoyed yesterday's stream. It was actually hilarious. This shit is hilarious, bro. Like actually hilarious. I didn't think I would have so much fun watching a clavicular interview, but this is exactly what I needed. I'm getting kind of hot, to be honest. So I'm gonna take this off. The Goonicide segment was amazing. Yeah, it was. That was my favorite part. What's good, bro? Have you been mewing since last stream? Yeah, I've been mewing all night. I mewed in my sleep, bro. Mew maxing. But yeah, I'm interested. I'm kind of curious for the rest of this interview here. We'll see how it goes. But I definitely know I need to react to the last 10 minutes is what people tell me, because I know it ends abruptly. He walks out or something, so I'll make sure to watch the end at least, but we'll see if this is any good.
The headlines, because like Mathmaxing sounds so funny that it's like a headline. It was a lot different than
What's Mathmaxing?
people really could imagine.
Oh, hey, what's up, guys? I didn't see you there. I want to show you something super important.
Fucking ads, bro. Can't handle it.
smashing and peptide injection says about the state of young men in the US. These articles are absolutely and utterly riddled with scathing commentary that put me into the mind of a Clav hater. But as a journalist, I had to understand the mind of a Clav supporter as well. But as you can see here on the right, there's absolutely no coverage. Not a peep from Fox News, Blaze, Big Tucker, nobody on the right coming to Clavicular's defense. This helped me to understand and truly realize that Clav is a subcultural leader building an empire and army of his own without the help, positive help, of the right-wing political establishment. Except for maybe Peter Thiel, which I'm a bit curious about. Why would the CEO of Palantir be signal-boosting, antisocial, biological determinists willing to sterilize themselves in pursuit of a constantly moving, unattainable success target? If you know more, email me. So back to Clav and the relationship between Clavicular and the mainstream media. I talked about it a bit, but there really isn't one. As you can see here, the biggest Clav story ever, titled Mogging, Maxing, and Clav Briefly Explained, only has 6 sources. 6 sources covering it. That's absolute peanuts and crickets compared to the daily Iran war updates. But I'm willing to bet that 75% of young
Yes, I live in DC.
Gen Alpha dudes can tell you when and where Clav last got frame mogged before they could point out the goddamn Strait of Hormuz. And that is why Ground News has a dope-ass feature called the Blind Spot feed, which doesn't just focus on big stories across two-party political lines. They show you things not being covered by the mainstream media at all and help you break out of your algorithmic echo chamber. Boom, Ground News, dope-ass news aggregate. And guess what? If you want to be like me, a dope-ass Ground News subscriber, today is your lucky day. Just go to ground.news/channel 5.
People off if, like, you know, GQ, for example. People really want to tie.
Hopefully I don't get.
Back to Fort Lauderdale. Speaking of
Hopefully I don't get copyrighted for that. All that music right there.
headlines, like how's your experience been with the mainstream media in general?
Like, a lot more positive than a lot of people think it should be. People really want to tie Looksmaxxing to some type of political movement, whether it be, you know, left wing, right wing, whatever. But it is completely apolitical, and I've had good experiences with reporters on both sides of the aisle, and they've, you know, just written based on their experience.
Yeah, how could trying to max out your looks be political? I mean, that seems obvious.
Is not trying to hit piece me in a lot of regards. So I think that has, like, thrown people off. If, like, you know, GQ, for example, wrote like a nice article because we spent the day with the reporter. He got an honest insight into my routine, my protocol, whatever. It's like we were very hospitable to the guy. You know, he gave us a fair article. And people are like, oh, you know, bro's like a whatever. He's got these weird implications behind.
People want to know exactly where I live. I'm not going to tell you. I live in DC. That's as much as I will say. That's as much as I will say.
Him for, like, having a good article from a leftist media company where it's like, I'm not a political figure. So
Yeah.
it's like, that's pretty sensible.
How was your experience working with Elena?
Elena's great.
Yeah.
I think she's a very nice girl. And I'm glad we got to do that collaboration, because that was like one of the
Who's Elena?
key things talked about in Looksmaxxing is, like, a lot of the male models, like the PSL gods, is what it's like
What's a PSL? What does PSL mean?
referred to.
PSL god?
Not to be, like, obviously, what's the word for it? I know that's against the 10 Commandments or whatever.
Just tell us where you are.
Sinful.
Yeah, not to be sent.
Bro, like, what's your specific address, though? What's the longitude and latitude of your basement?
Full or whatever. That's just how it's referred to on internet forums. Obviously, idealization of people is not good, but
DC did not come out accidentally. I had said that way back. I had said that purposely. I remember being deliberate about that.
yeah, that's like kind of a meme in the community. So actually, like, walking on the runway was kind of Mog, and it's like, okay, now you started on the forums, now you're like one of the people that the forum was talking about.
So it was a cool, like, full circle moment for you?
Yeah, a little bit, I guess you could say that.
Was that like the moment you think you're most proud of?
There's been a lot. It's kind of just like a steady up and up so far, that there's like a lot of, but that was certainly like one specific event that was, that's a big one.
What's like one event that comes to mind as well that you were like, holy shit, I can't believe that was me in that video and all this is happening?
I just think it's consistency more so than just, like, becoming like trendy or viral based on one thing. Just the fact that I'm consistently streaming every single day, getting more and more clips out there, doing more and more media appearance, just generally captivating more people with my message because it resonates super well with a society of men who are really not that well off in a lot of regards.
In what sense? Like, what do you think are the main things that men are suffering from in 2026?
Economic struggle, lack of success in the dating market, hypergamy, stuff like that.
But your idea is to sort of withdraw from the dating market to an extent and pursue self-improvement in a way to ascend in a way that doesn't put you in last place.
I think you're going to be wasting your time entering the dating market until you are maximized.
In career and aesthetic?
In every metric, yeah, really.
I know you hate talking about politics, and the last thing
Got a super chat from Obey Bug Eaters who sends the $2. Thank you, with nothing to say. My favorite type of super chats. No, I'm just kidding.
thing I want to do is trap you in a politics rabbit hole. But you mentioned that Looksmaxxing isn't political. There is an association in the press with Looksmaxxing and the sort of right-wing manosphere. Do you agree with that?
Market until you are maximized.
In career and aesthetic?
In every metric, yeah, really.
Every metric. Every metric, you got to maximize every metric before you even think about going out into the dating pool, or you're going to get mogged. You're going to get ladard. Damn, bruh. Damn, bruh.
I know you hate talking about politics, and the last thing I want to do is trap you in a politics rabbit hole. But you mentioned that Looksmaxxing isn't political. There is an association in the press with Looksmaxxing and the sort of right-wing manosphere. Do you agree with that?
It's more so just the fact that I've collaborated with like people who say like edgy things. But that's my brand. It's like I really don't care. Like I'm really not trying to be like PR or whatever. It would just be too much work, really. So
Yeah.
that's why I guess care. Like I'm really not trying.
That looks like Tristan Tate, Nick Fuentes. Who's this Myron? Something? Myron something? Clavicular. I don't know who this is. I don't know who that is either.
Trying to be like PR or whatever.
Oh man, we live in the best timeline.
Whatever. It would just be too much work, really. So
Yeah.
that's why I guess they've tried to do that. But in terms of my actual political ideology and whether or not Looksmaxxing has any political implications, it doesn't. So, and Looksmaxxing is bigger than myself, right? So even if I were to hypothetically be right or left wing, it wouldn't change the fact that Looksmaxxing is apolitical.
What does the S and PSL stand for?
Slut hate. .com.
That's a pretty intense like word, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
You don't think that like veers towards sort of like a anti-woman vibe?
Well, that's not really a Looksmaxxing forum.
But it's in the greater orbit.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there's also like the owner of Looksmax.org also hosts like the incel forum. I would say so.
You don't think that like veers towards sort of like a anti-woman vibe?
Well, that's not really a Looksmaxxing forum.
But it's in the greater orbit.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there's also
Anti-woman vibe. Anti-woman. Man. Oh. It's just, I don't know, man. So many people, they just try to like, I don't know, what's the, he didn't create the term. Slut hate. I mean, if anything, it's not anti-woman, it's anti-slut. Okay? It's not against women. It's against sluts. But like people just take things way too seriously, bro. I don't know. Anti-women, that's like the worst thing you can be. Trying to guilt him. Be like, yo, what if you're anti-women though? What if you're anti-women? I mean, people are going to think what they're going to think about you, bro. You know what I mean? Like all that Clavicular can say to that is like, I don't know, maybe it's anti-woman, but I'm not anti-woman, Or you can be associated, or you can use things that are anti-woman in some respects, but you don't use it for anti-woman, or it's not I don't see it as an anti-woman or blah, 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 blah. you know? But then it's like, you got to explain yourself. Oh, yeah. Got to make sure nobody thinks I'm anti-woman. Oh, no. Oh, no. That'd be the worst thing is if people think I'm anti-woman. I mean, bro, my entire channel is anti-woman. Like, I'm sure people would just say, like, I'm a woman hater. Like, I'm anti-woman. You know what I mean? And, like, I don't care because I know who I am. Like, I know myself. You know? It's just people are just they're using like level 1 tactics, bro. You're using level 1. You're a level 1 player. You're a level 1 player, Andrew. Come on. It's also weird. They use the tactics that would most control them, too. People employ tactics on others that would most control themselves. But
So like the owner of Looksmaxxing.org.
Halston Rip? Wasn't she, you talk about Holly Halston? You talking about the porn star? Holly Halston? She didn't die, did she? Guys, don't look her up. Don't look her up, guys. Yeah, they're so sensitive about words and terms, man. It's just like, yo, there's tons of crazy shit out there. They're just words. They're just words. Dale the Dippa says, Marshall, why are you wasting your time on this garbage? You're better than this. I'm not. I'm not actually, Dale. I'm not. You are. I'm not. You are. I'm not. I'm not better than this garbage.
Also hosts like the incel forum. It's like, you know what I mean? And there's plenty of hateful rhetoric.
See, that's a perfect example. Dale the Dipper tries to, like, I don't know, appeal to my ego or something. I think I'm better than this garbage. Tries to, like, guilt me or shame me as if, yo, you're better than this. You're better than this. Trying to appeal to, like, oh yeah, I should be better than this. Level 1, bro. Level 1. Level 1.
Rhetoric on there, but that doesn't change the fact that Looksmaxxing as an action is apolitical. You know, even if there's like people on forums who have had a lack of success with women who suddenly turn hateful, it's like, yeah, that has nothing to do with Looksmaxxing really, because the entire idea of Looksmaxxing is to disassociate with inceldom, is to escape that.
But there is a pipeline like an incel can ascend through Looksmaxxing and get out of a situation.
I think that the word
Someone says, Marshall, we are very similar except for me being better looking. You have what's called metacognitive IQ. What's metacognitive IQ? I should probably rewind this, huh? I don't even remember what he responded with. What happened to sluthate.com?
That's a pretty intense like word, right?
yeah, I would say so.
You don't think that like veers towards sort of like a anti-woman vibe?
Well, that's not really a Looksmaxxing forum.
But it's in the greater orbit.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there's also like the owner of Looksmaxx.org also hosts like the incel forum. It's like, you know what I mean? And there's plenty of hateful rhetoric on there, but that doesn't change the fact that Looksmaxxing, but
Sorry,
it doesn't change Looksmaxxing
this
is
happens
bigger
all the
than
time.
myself,
I don't
right?
pay
So
attention,
even
and I
if
have to
I
keep
were to
rewinding.
hypothetically be right or left wing, it wouldn't change the fact that Looksmaxxing is apolitical.
What does the S and PSL stand for?
Sluthate.com.
That's a pretty intense like word, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
You don't think that like veers towards sort of like a anti-woman vibe?
Well, that's not really a Looksmaxxing forum.
But it's in the greater orbit.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there's also like...
It's in the greater orbit. It's in the greater orbit. Wow. Yeah. It's in the greater orbit, yeah. There's a lot of things that are in the greater orbit of a lot of things. The hell? What's in the... It's like the weakest fucking argument, bro. I have no comeback to it, but that shit's weak. The greater orbit. It's a greater orbit around everything. You know what I mean? Like feminism, well, the greater orbit is slut hate the greater orbit of Looksmaxxing, or would it be a smaller orbit? Well, Looksmaxxing doesn't encompass slut hate, but does slut hate encompass Looksmaxxing? You know what I mean? I'm sorry, man, but like, these guys just aren't. If Andrew had said that to me, I would have been like, dude, what do you mean? What do you mean greater orbit? What do you mean by that? that sounds like, to me, slut hate encompasses Looksmaxxing. Where did Looksmaxxing originate? Male incel forums. Oh, I guess it was. Is he going to tell me it was on Slut8? Go to Wikipedia. Looksmaxxing is a 21st century internet neologism referring to the process of maximizing one's own physical attractiveness. The term originated on male incel message boards in the 2010s. Previously, the phrase's usage has been limited to obscure internet forums, but in the 2020s became popularized on TikTok by men. Currently, the term refers to a specific view of male beauty and is not frequently a term used by women in non-satirical contexts. Doesn't tell me. Doesn't tell me where. I guess slut hate was just one of the. There were a few forums, right? I don't know, man. There's something wrong with that argument. I hate it when I know what's wrong with an argument and yet, like, I'm not intelligent enough to, like, be able to articulate it. You know what I mean? Clavicular looks like a handsome Squidward poser. Oh, I don't know what Squidward looks like.
Well, the owner of looksmax.org also hosts, like,
Thank you for the $2.
incel forum. It's like, you know what I mean? And there's plenty of hateful rhetoric on there, but that doesn't change the fact that
It's in the greater orbit.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is I keep not paying attention to the one part where he's actually addressing this.
Yeah, so I mean, there's also, like, the owner of looksmax.org also hosts, like, the incel forum. It's like, you know what I mean? And there's plenty of hateful rhetoric on there, but that doesn't change the fact that looksmaxxing as an action is apolitical. You know, even if there's, like, people on forums who have had a lack of success with women who suddenly turn hateful, it's like, yeah, that has nothing to do with looksmaxxing, really, because the entire idea of looksmaxxing is to disassociate with inceldom, is to escape that.
But there is a pipeline, like an incel can ascend through looksmaxxing and get out of his situation.
I think that the word incel has been largely misused, so let's clarify what that actually is. Incels is commonly referred to by the media as just people who hate women on internet forums, when in actuality it's someone who's involuntarily celibate and can't get women. And it is true, a lot of those people become extremely resentful and become extremely hateful. And that's an unfortunate thing, because that's really not productive in any regard, is it? You know, I don't support that. Obviously, I would say it's ridiculous to sit there all day writing up, like, hate posts on a forum. I'm saying the way to actually fix your life is to looksmax and not, you know, be hateful against, you know, women because you can't have any success with them.
You see yourself as potentially helping people like that.
Yeah, like, that's the best way to escape that sort of thing, is actually by looksmaxing.
Have you heard any success stories from your supporters who started off incels and are now killing shit after your protocol?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the main way that people can escape that mentality.
And does that make you feel gratified that you were able to help younger dudes?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the more people who could have success from looksmaxing, it kind of just proves me right. So I don't want to think about it necessarily from, like, an egotistical perspective. It feels good because I'm still not that far out of it, right? So I was that guy not too long ago, so I still can put myself in their shoes and empathize with having a bad job, like working in a restaurant, being unattractive, not being able to get girls. It's not like I'm, 40 years old with a long and successful media career. I just started doing this. And yeah, maybe I'm successful now, and my life is a little bit different than it was, but it's not, you know, completely out of my hindsight.
As far as the mechanics of like the stuff you do here, like how much do you stream? Like how many hours per day this month are you streaming?
Well, we're streaming 24/7 for the whole marathon.
Holy shit. Is that exhausting for you?
Yeah, it's been quite brutal.
Damn, look at that.
Hours per day this month are you streaming?
Well, we're streaming 24/7
Damn.
for the whole marathon.
Holy.
Think she likes it? You think they banged? Do we think they banged?
Holy shit. Is that exhausting for you?
Yeah,
Damn, he looked away before she did.
it's been quite brutal so far.
In what sense?
This is what we're gonna be resigned to, is just watching other dudes get women on the
Just like
That's
lack
what
of
life
sleep,
is now.
because you know, sometimes we'll have a segment that comes about late in the night, and then you're up till 6, 7 in the morning. And then the next day is cooked, and then you know, you try to reset your sleep schedule. You can't fall asleep. So that sort of thing has been quite exhausting.
What have been some of your favorite moments from the stream so far this month?
Favorite moments from the stream, we did a couple collabs. Like Blueface was a really exciting one, because that was someone we were listening to throughout, you know, the come up of my streaming career.
I didn't know you were a rap fan.
Yeah, I like all sorts of music. And then we collabed with Ryan Garcia also, same day. So it's pretty cool to see that. It's always just funny when you see people in real life that you've only seen on like a TV growing up.
As far as your clipping and distribution style, who are your influences in that regard?
In terms of the clipping, that's not something that we really have any control over. Like, in a lot of the clips actually make me look like quite jester, because it's paid by Kick. We're just a community of people on like a CPM basis. We can't like tell the clippers like, oh, like this moment was really good. A lot of times they'll like AI my face with like goofy filters and shit. And like, for example, I was working out not too long ago, and they like edited it till the end of my set, and they were like, he only gets 2 reps with this weight or whatever. The clipping is great, and it really does help push you out there. Like, I was #1 in clipping views. A lot of reporters fall for like clipping memes. Like, our reporter called me yesterday asking about like the Chad ranking thing or whatever. I don't know if you've seen that on Twitter.
No, what is that?
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's just some stupid Twitter meme, but they think it's like actually part of the movement sometimes.
Did you expect that the frame mogging ASU frat leader clip would go as viral as it did?
No, not really. But I never really predict what's gonna go viral.
Do you orchestrate some of these moments, or do they occur naturally?
They occur naturally.
Just you in the field?
Yeah, I mean, we just stream so many hours that crazy shit is just bound to happen with the environments that we're going into.
One thing that I've seen to be a major point of debate and contention is the whole body count. What do you think is the ideal body count?
Well, for who? For men
Let's
or
start
women?
with for dudes, for guys like us.
I don't really think that there's an ideal. I think that the argument that a lot of red pillars and people in the manosphere give is like getting this amount of bodies so that you're able to understand female nature and this, that, and the other thing, when that's really not true, and it's not necessary. I think what it's really about is just the willingness to like put your foot down in bad relationships and leave, because a lot of dudes are so desperate. They finally get that girlfriend, and they're so unwilling to lose it that they just have their girlfriend walking all over them, not respecting them. And that's more so the problem. And that's something that, you know, men who are getting a lot of women are more likely to avoid. But you can avoid it without having 50 sexual partners, certainly. Getting this amount of bodies so that you're able to understand female nature and this, that, and the other thing, when that's really not true, and it's not necessary. I think what it's really about is just the willingness to like put your foot down in bad relationships and leave, because a lot of dudes are so desperate. They finally get that girlfriend, and they're so unwilling to lose it that they just have their girlfriend walking all over them, not respecting them. And that's more so the problem. And that's something that, you know, men who are getting a lot of women are more likely to avoid. But you can avoid it without having 50 sexual partners, certainly.
What do you think's the ideal body count for a woman? Does it matter?
I would say that having any previous sexual encounters is not good.
So the ideal situation is like a virgin?
Correct, yeah.
Why?
Because of something called pair bonding. That's what a relationship is all about, right? A long-term relationship with a partner, being pair bonded with different brain chemicals with that person. So if that process is damaged in any sort of way, that just reduces the chance of success in that relationship, right? So that's not like an anti-woman perspective. I think that's just a very like scientific reason for that. It's not just like low IQ, typical jester, whore.
Don't talk shit about my wife, you stupid. Shut your fucking mouth. You lick sniz. You're a fucking dyke.
That's really like all that you get, you know, saying the word like whore. And it's like, if you're just gonna do that without, you know, giving any reason on why the promiscuity is bad, then you're just like a jester. It doesn't mean anything.
So do you think males lose pair bonding value in the same way that women do as they get
No,
increased?
it's a little bit different.
How come you think?
Well, just the way that our brain chemistries are different, right? So, and it's also not necessarily a bad thing, because it's like we're talking about before, the ability to put your foot down and leave
I don't like that he clipped that. I'd have been interested to hear what he said after that.
bad situations, because the framing in a relationship has, for centuries, throughout the entire existence of organized societies, has been in the favor of men, right? It's been male-dominated societies. That's sort of what needs to be restored.
Don't you think you maybe want a more experienced partner so that that person has better understanding of human intimacy?
No, because that's not what sex is intended for, right? That's, yeah, like it's enjoyable to have sex with women, but that's not the intention behind it, and that was never meant to be. This is like a very new thing in the context of history. People just have regular sex with random people for pure pleasure and then never talk to them again.
But weren't the ancient Romans on some like gay orgy vibes? And like samurais were on some gay shit?
First of all, it's not even the Romans necessarily, it was more so the army, but like what's the relevance of that?
But you're talking about the people having sex for pleasure as a new thing and that beforehand it was not used for that purpose.
I said generally.
Generally, got you.
But yeah, in terms of relationship, just because like Roman soldiers who hadn't seen their wives and have no ability to see their wives were homosexual, that doesn't, you know, change what I'm saying.
But it was outliers back then.
Yeah, it almost is like the same context as people in prison who are not able to have sex with their wife.
So back to what you were saying, which I think is super interesting. You're saying you feel like nowadays the relationship and human intimacy and sex has changed.
Yeah, it has changed.
And in the sense that before it was more just about procreation?
Yeah, more about intimacy, procreation, bonding with your partner, and now that really doesn't exist.
And what do you think, I guess, hyper-sexualized our society?
The sexual revolution, clubbing culture, just it being normalized, contraceptives, all that kind of stuff.
So relatively new stuff. Like you're talking pretty much since like the mid-1900s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think was the greater agenda at play there? You think it was just people losing their family values, or?
I don't really think that matters, the greater agenda at play. Like that's just gonna be a lot of like conspiratorial talk. It just doesn't matter.
Patients around the world are cleaning their retainers.
Sort of like you said, sexual revolution, people expressing themselves in new ways and kind of just like subcultures emerging. Like the divorce rate went up after that and all that stuff in the past 70 years.
Well, yeah, and that's like people moving away from religion, like the Catholic Church doesn't allow divorce, or at least it's not supposed to. There's a variety of factors why people chose to sort of have this rebellion against traditionalism, and it happened, so it is what it is.
And you think that it was ultimately a bad thing to turn away from the church?
Yeah, I would say so.
How come?
Well, I think that there's a lot of benefit to having some sort of like structure in play in a society, but I think I am not the most well-educated theologian, so I don't really talk about theological issues. It's not that I'm like anti-religion, it's just I don't really like to talk on any issues I don't have too much authority on. So I really haven't like thought about it too much or done any research.
You just mentioned the Catholic Church specifically. I was just wondering if you grew up religious.
Yeah, I went to Catholic school.
Okay, word. I didn't know that. How was your experience there?
Good.
I read that your parents were involved in bodybuilding in some way.
Yeah, my mom.
Your dad too, or just your mom?
My dad just lifted recreationally.
But you were around people who exercised in your life and people who cared about their aesthetic long before Looksmaxxing came into the picture, right?
Yep.
What's the main thing you feel like the mainstream media gets wrong about you that you really feel like needs to be rectified?
that Looksmaxxing is from a place of insecurity. That is true for a lot of people, but that's not universal. Like, you could just encounter all of these different studies that I'm referencing from like online dating apps or, you know, stuff with looks correlating to higher average incomes and decide, oh, it makes sense for me to dedicate my time to Looksmaxxing because you calculate the ROI.
I'm just confused because it's like, on one hand, you're saying you want to like help men improve their aesthetics and succeed in life so that they don't feel so lonely and they're not so hateful and they can go out and succeed. Then you also say that like going out and dating and stuff's a waste of time and that you should prioritize Looksmaxxing and aesthetic improvement. So I'm just trying to figure out like what the real goal is for improvement, because it kind of feels like a closed circle, you know?
Well, so you're maxing, and then, you know, you're putting into play any of the things we were talking about, like, you know, low income maxing with pre-gab, for example, and going out and doing stuff like that. That just has a lower ROI if you haven't Looksmaxxed. But you're gonna have a lack of success.
Once you reach like maximum MOG levels, maximum aesthetic, like when you become a true 10, at that point,
then you get to do whatever you really feel is the path for you. And I couldn't tell you that. But whatever path that you decide, you're going to have a much easier time and you're gonna be a lot better off. So yeah, that is a hard thing for me to try to conceptualize and give a recommendation on, because I think I'm a lot different than the normal person in terms of like what I enjoy, activities I like to do. So yeah, that's why it might be like a little bit confusing, because I'm like leaving that part of the equation out of it.
Yeah.
That's because I don't know. You're you, I'm me, and you know, we get to this spot of being maxed out in as many metrics as possible, and then we take it from there.
Has anybody reached full ascension?
Ascending is kind of like an ongoing process. Like,
Is there any 10s out there, like people who have?
no,
Really?
no.
Will there ever be a sort of messiah?
Not with the technology we have now.
Like the methods, like, would have to improve to the point where like scientific evolution would
right.
precede that.
Yeah, more so like just surgical intervention. Who knows? So I'm really not gonna predict what sort of science is going to come in the future.
How did you feel about the whole like Miami club controversy a few months ago?
The controversy I'm referring to is how many people, including myself, became aware of Clav in the first place. So, while on stream, a while ago now, Clav went to a nightclub in Miami with some other guys. While they were out, both in the Sprinter van and inside the club, somebody played Kanye's famous Hitler song. You know the one. The incident led to widespread media attention, condemnation by political leadership, a blame game amongst participants, and earned Clav a lifelong ban from all major Miami clubs.
How do I feel about it?
Yeah, the aftermath, like the
Well, I
magnitude
mean,
of coverage.
it sucks not being able to go to like some of the mod clubs. I mean, I just started college club maxing. In a lot of ways, that was like actually better because it's more affordable actually. So like, you know, a lot of people like sort of like to talk about that in interviews, and it's like, dude, what's the relevance? Like, how is that even correlated with Looksmaxxing?
You talk about mainstream
He likes asking what's the relevance? What's the relevance? Just sit there and be like, what's the relevance, bro? Yeah, what's the relevance? What's the relevance, bro? Oh, man. Oh, boy. Our society's fucked, boy. Fucked. We are fucked. We are truly fucked. Where does he walk out? Walks out like here or whatever.
Specifically reach out. We want to interview him about Looksmaxxing. And then you'll start asking like political questions. And I'm just like, okay, like I don't mind it. You know what I mean? I'm not really like afraid to answer anything. You know, gone through every single question of yours besides the one about my security, which is a little bit weird. But yeah, not a single attempt at anything in regards to Looksmaxx.
Okay, you guys see the look?
But yeah, not a single attempt at anything in regards to Looksmaxx.
Okay, what's the question I should ask?
Well, that's up to you. It's
Well,
like,
you're
what
telling
am I
me-
going to tell you how to do your job?
You're telling
I
me
mean,
you want me to ask you about specific scientific questions about different Looksmaxxing methods.
well, I mean,
No, I think he's just saying he wants you to just ask questions about Looksmaxxing, probably. I don't know. Andrew's kind of getting low. As the interview, you shouldn't. I don't know.
Well,
Now they will.
well, that's quite literally what your companies, your
What do you
press
mean your
company-
companies? You think I work for like Time pretty
There we
strongly
go.
worded forum and subculture.
Yeah, and
no?
that would be fine if piece of advice you would recommend people to Looksmaxx. I've genuinely never had a single person ask me specifics about how do these two things interact, or how does Looksmaxxing differ from this age to this age? Is it still possible to Looksmaxx? Like, there's no effort really behind the questions that you guys prepare, seemingly. It just seems to be a lot of like gotcha mode. Never had a single person.
Just because you don't want people to know what your protocol is. Much stuff. It's like a lot of things, maybe 15-minute piece that's like
I guess here's where it gets good, huh?
it's Gen Z. So like the average Channel 5 viewer is a 27-year-old American man.
Whereas I'm like more 18 to 24. That's good.
I think it's super interesting too, like the volume of content they seem to appreciate. They like content filmed over a long period of time, like 8 hours of content straight, and they want it live. Whereas our audience prefers a more polished, maybe 15-minute piece that's like a bunch of footage edited perfectly and have with like a narrative arc and a through line.
Yeah, I think there's all sorts of media that people enjoy, but I think the main part of streaming that people enjoy is just like not knowing what's gonna happen next. It sort of seems like in a lot of my streams, like things can take a turn for the worst, the best. Like you really don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect.
Because you're filming so much stuff, it's like a lot of things can happen. Is there any moments you regret from streaming?
Not really, because we're here now.
So even the losses you took on the way were all part of the hustle and the journey.
Yeah, because it's like you learn like maybe that's not a good idea to do that.
From a security standpoint, how do you stop stream snipers from ruining your?
I'm not gonna talk about that.
Okay, just because you don't want people to know what your protocol is.
Correct.
Word. Trying to think what else I should ask about.
He
It's
can
tough
get
because I don't
very
want-
Like maybe that's not a good idea.
he can get very like he gets very stern. He almost gets like, dude, his eyes go absolutely cold, bro. Like he gets.
You have to do that.
From a security standpoint,
What is this question? From a security standpoint,
how do you stop stream snipers from ruining your?
I'm not gonna.
how do you stop stream snipers from ruining your what? From ruining your what? You cut off what you said.
Or like maybe that's not a good idea to do that.
From a security standpoint, how do you stop stream snipers from ruining your?
I'm not gonna talk about that.
Okay.
Ruining your what? I'm not going to talk about that. I don't even understand what this question is. Does anybody know what he's talking about? How do you stop stream snipers from ruining his stream? What does that mean? Like showing up and like I don't know, taking a shit on his head or something? Showing up with like a squirt gun, like a water gun, spraying him in the face. Stream snipers from ruining his stream. I guess like showing up in person and mogging his crew, ladaring on them. He says, I'm not going to talk. He gets so like this question, bro. He cannot take this question, bro. Like this question absolutely, like he cannot.
How do you stop stream snipers from ruining your?
I'm not gonna talk about that.
Okay. Just because you don't want people to know what your protocol.
I mean, he's just cold, bro. Cold as ice, dog. Cold as ice. Look at it. Look at the fury. Look at the fury in his eyes, bro. That's cold fury. That's cold fury, dog. God. If looks could kill, man. Jesus Christ. Andrew, get out of the way, man. Get out of his eyesight, man. Get out of his eyesight. He's about to freaking Scott Myers you, bro. About to Scott Myers you. This fucking Cyclops, dog. Fucking the beams are gonna shoot out of his fucking eyes, bro. Melt your head. Get out of the way.
Protocol is.
Correct.
Word.
He's almost autistic, bro. He like thinks about it. He might be an alien.
How do you stop stream snipers from ruining your?
I'm not gonna talk about that.
Okay. Just 'cause you don't want people to
Look at this.
know what your protocol is.
He's thinking. The It's like computing.
Correct.
Correct. Correct. With the 2 blinks. Correct. I don't know about this clavicular guy, bro. I don't know about this clavicular guy, bro. He's drug maxed. Dude. Well, he's on an anticonvulsant. He's on probably low amounts of meth, is what he said. Is what it seems like he said. Or he takes anticonvulsants. He takes, what else did he say he takes? He takes like, I think he takes anti-estrogens. I mean, I don't know what he's on in this specific moment, but he's talked about like anti-estrogens, steroids, obviously, you know, anticonvulsants, meth, or like, what do you call it? Not Ritalin, Adderall. Yeah. Correct. Correct. Correct.
Word. Trying to think
Word. He says word.
what else I should ask about. It's tough because I don't want to put you in any boxes, but I'm
Dude, he is so pissed right now. He's just pissed, dog. Yo. Relax, Max, bro. Yeah, you're a Looksmaxxer, but you gotta chill, dog. Chill, Max.
sure there's people that
He looks like he's about to. Dude. There's so much potential energy in this guy right now. Look at this. Look at this look, bro.
probably want to know about various controversies. If you don't want to talk about any, that's cool.
I mean, more so like to talk about like Looksmaxxing in my interviews. And it's like kind of annoying because
Well, Clav, you can't just talk about Looksmaxxing in interviews. If you want an interview where you only talk about the things that you're comfortable with, well, you're probably not going to get a lot of interviews. And that's kind of not really terms that people would agree to. And you shouldn't really have an issue with people asking you questions if they that you're uncomfortable with, if they didn't agree beforehand that these questions were something that were off limits or something. If you didn't specify that there were any things that they couldn't ask you, there was like no contract written up or something like that. If it was kind of just a thing of, well, you can ask me anything. Well, you know, I mean, you can get mad. You can get upset. You can get upset that they're asking you a question that you don't prefer, that you're not happy with. You can, but it doesn't really make sense. It's kind of like, what did you expect? You know, it's kind of like, like walking into a tiger's cage and getting mad when like you walk out with like no leg, or you got mauled or something, or like your face got, half eaten off. Like you lost an eye or an ear. And then you're like, well, I just don't really prefer it when I walk into a tiger's cage and I just get mogged. I just get ledarred by this tiger, and now I have no leg. It's just a little strange. It's a little strange. If you do interviews, you should be okay with people asking you anything, unless you specified beforehand what you wanted to be asked.
no interviewer has actually like come up with a question ever that's been more than what would be the number one piece of advice you would recommend people to Looksmaxx. I've genuinely never had a single person a question ever that's been more than what would be the Looksmaxxing in my interviews. And it's like kind of annoying because no interviewer has actually like come up with a question ever that's been more than what would be the number one piece of advice you would recommend people to Looksmaxx.
What? This doesn't even make sense. No interviewer has ever come up with a question other than what would you recommend to Looksmaxx or something like that. Bro, what? That doesn't even make sense. This doesn't even make sense. All of Andrew's questions have been something different from that. He's asked you a ton of different questions different than that. This doesn't even make sense, bro.
Looksmaxxing in my interviews, and it's like kind of annoying because no interviewer has actually like come up with a question ever that's been
No interviewer ever has ever come up with a question that
more than what would be the number one piece of advice you would recommend people to Looksmax.
that is more than what would you recommend be the number one piece of advice for people to Looksmax. What? That doesn't even make sense. More than that? You've been only asked questions that are more than that in this interview. This phrase means that he's only ever been asked this one question. Am I tripping? Am I tripping balls? Am I tripping balls right now? Am I hearing what you guys are hearing? Am I tripping?
Just because you don't want people to know what your protocol is?
Correct.
Word. Trying to think what else I should ask about. It's tough because I don't want to put you in any boxes, but I'm sure there's people that probably want to know about various controversies. If you don't want to talk about any, that's cool.
I mean, more so like to talk about like Looksmaxxing in my interviews, and it's like kind of annoying because no interviewer has actually like come up with a question ever that's been more than what would be the number one piece of advice you would recommend people to Looksmax. I've genuinely never had a single person ask me specifics about how do these two things interact or how does Looksmaxxing.
Oh, that's what he means. So he's talking, but he said an interviewer though. He's never had somebody. Oh, so this must mean that Andrew was asking him this stuff, and like it kind of like got him a little ticked. I see. So no interviewer has ever asked like specifically what to do for like your, like how much steroids do you take or what do you do to block the side effects from anti-estrogen or some shit like that. But
piece of advice you would recommend people to Looksmax. I've genuinely never had a single person ask me specifics about how do these two things interact or how does Looksmaxxing differ from this age to this age? Is it still possible to Looksmax? Like, there's no effort really behind the questions that you guys prepare seemingly. It just,
oh, he's just going on his questions. Is there a difference between Looksmaxxing for age? I think that's a valid question. I think that's a valid question. Because like once you stop growing, are your bones as malleable or maybe, I mean, bro, I'm sorry, but he's tilted. He's tilted. This is what we call in chess a tilt. He's tilted. You know? He's tilting. He's triggered. He's triggered. Maybe if you stop pausing, you could get the context, dude. Yeah, that's a good point.
seems to be a lot of like gotcha mode, like clip farm shit. And
Well, I'm
it's
not
like,
doing that.
yeah, you are a little bit to a degree.
I don't think so. I think when you see the full presentation, it's not really going to be edited or clipped into my
Well,
face.
just because
I mean, this has been clipped like a motherfucker.
this is not the worst interview I've had. I mean, like you're
not the worst. You're not the worst interviewer I've ever had.
you had like a couple of ones that you were trying to sneak in with like, oh, what is like, what is slut hate? It's like,
Yeah, I mean, it's the second letter in the...
but I mean, like you know what you're intentionally trying to do. And
Yeah, I'm trying to
it's like-
figure out because it's a pretty strongly worded forum and subculture.
Yeah, and that would be fine if that question was in there because it's decently relevant to the culture, but there was not even a single genuine attempt at like a specific Looksmax question.
Well, I'm not in the Looksmaxxing community. I'm trying to learn about it. Not everyone talking to you is going to be a niche person who knows about all the methods.
Yeah, I know you're not in the Looksmaxxing community, but you didn't even ask a Looksmaxxing question, like at all. You don't need to be in the Looksmaxxing community to ask a Looksmaxxing question.
I think we've been talking about Looksmaxxing this whole time.
We've been talking about like the philosophy behind it, and it's...
You want me to ask you a scientific question about Looksmaxxing?
I just think it's kind of funny how like that's...
I mean, I will say the one thing that Clavicular has on his side right here is he's mogging like positionally. Like Andrew's like moving around a ton. I feel like you can hear a lot more adrenaline in Andrew's voice. But Clav is on a, well, I'm guessing that he's on an anticonvulsant at this moment and might be on other host of different drugs, maybe barbiturates or whatever, benzos or whatever. He was saying something about neurotransmitters are excitatory. So he like lessens that. So he has no social anxiety. So I'm guessing that he has really no, like there's no like adrenaline really flowing through him right now. He's just kind of like chill maxing right now. Possibly Ladaring. But Andrew is very much, kind of
We've been
moving
talking
around a
about
lot.
Looksmaxxing this whole time.
He's like leaning up like that. Like that looks like you have to go to the bathroom, bro. Like that looks like, why would you sit up like that? Why would you sit up like that? This dude's been keeping this posture, this frame, just like the entire time. He's only really moved his hands, really. But his legs have stayed pretty much still, whereas Andrew's moved a lot, I feel. Like here, his legs are like
Not
crossed.
the worst interview I've had. I mean, like you had like a couple.
So here his legs are crossed. Here, legs are still where they were. Maintaining frame. Clavis triggered the interviewer doesn't hate his looks. How do you wear a suit with Nikes? Oh, this shit is so off. Everybody is medicated, man. Yeah, dude, I don't know, dude. Yeah, everybody's medicated. It's wild.
That question was in there because it's decently relevant to the culture, but there was not even a single genuine.
I will say maybe he had some adrenaline pumping there. Maybe he had some adrenaline in the voice there. Struggled with the singular thing. Maybe some neurotransmitters got through his sort of downer or whatever he takes. What was it? This
Attempt at like,
anaglobulin or whatever?
a specific Looksmax question.
Well, I'm not in the Looksmaxxing community. I'm trying to learn about it. Not everyone talks.
See, there he goes again. He puts his foot up on his knee right there. Takes the foot up to the knee, moves the head a lot, moving the head a lot like this. I mean, Clavicular is completely mogging him in frame, in frame capacity, in frame competition, whatever you call it.
Talking to you is going to be a niche person who knows about all the methods.
Yeah, I know you're not in the Looksmaxxing community, but you didn't even ask a Looksmaxxing question, like at all. You don't need to be in the Looksmaxxing community to ask a Looksmaxxing question.
I think we've been talking about Looksmaxxing this whole time.
What are you
We've been
doing
talking
right
about
there?
like the
Who sits up like that?
philosophy behind it, and it's
You want me to ask you a scientific question?
Well, now he's even like, I don't know. It's like Clavicular got a little triggered, and then Andrew's like getting kind of triggered now.
About Looksmaxxing.
I just think it's kind of funny how like that's really never been done with the amount of like media appearances.
Maybe people don't know you want to be asked that. Well, now they will.
Now his legs are crossed again. He's leaning back.
Well, that's quite literally what your companies, your
What
press
do you mean, your
company.
companies? You think I work for like Time?
He sits up again. He sits up again. He sits up again. Holy shit, man. Yo, Clav is still, he's ironclad, bro. He's not moving at all. He's locked in place. Spread equal maxing, yeah. He's locked in place, dog. He sat up like he was ready to fight, yeah. Dude. He's frame mogging all over him, bro. Frame mogging all over him. But I will say, it's probably because he has almost no adrenaline pumping through his body. But still, I mean, Andrew's all over the place, left and right. Leaning back, leaning forward, hands in the air, moving his, dog. Come on, bro.
Warner or something?
Your press companies, you work for Channel 5.
It's a YouTube channel called Channel 5. I don't know what
I'm not
it
sure.
is. I'm the CEO of my own company. I don't have any agenda to play here.
Holy semantics, dude. Like, what
It's a
are we
pretty big difference between working for an affiliate news station like
There he-
Channel 5, the TV
He does it again.
company.
Well, the fact of the matter is,
Dude, they're not vibing, are they? They're not vibing.
I just think it's kind of funny how like that's really never been done with the amount of like media appearances.
Maybe people don't
'Cause
know you
that's-
want to be asked that.
Well,
Now they will.
Well, that's quite literally.
I've been so focused on body language that I've been so focused on the frame war. There's been a frame war going on, right? There's been this frame battle, and like Clavicular's frame army is absolutely destroying Andrew's. Like Andrew's frame army is getting absolutely obliterated. Like they're raping the women and the children. You know what I mean? Like they're taking over the city, storming the castle, burning everything down. And I've been so focused on this frame war that I haven't even really noticed what the hell they're saying. I don't even know what the hell they're even arguing about. This is kind of a thing with me a lot, is a lot of the times I completely space out on like what people are saying. I don't even pay attention to what people are saying because I'm so focused on just their body language, you know? The library cop sends $2. Appreciate it. He says, Clav sips like he's about to give birth. He does kind of. You know who he's about to give birth to? He's about to give birth to Andrew Jr., Andrew number 2. He's literally about to give birth to the dude sitting across from him, bro. Like, this is crazy. Like, he's that much your dad right now. He's that much your parent right now. He's absolutely kidding you, you know? You're his kid. What's that? He's adopted you. He's adopted you so hard that he's about to give birth to you again, bro. That's why his legs are open wide. He's about to give birth to himself. Is this how the interview ends? Just a bunch of insecure female energy bickering? I think it is, bro. I think it is. This is strange.
You don't need to be in the Looksmaxxing community to ask a Looksmaxxing question.
I think we've been talking about Looksmaxxing this whole time.
We've been talking about like the philosophy behind it, and it's.
You want me to ask you a scientific question about Looksmaxxing?
I just think it's kind of funny how like that's really never been done with the amount of like media appearances.
Maybe people don't know you want to be asked that. Well, now they will.
Well, that's quite literally what your companies, your
What do
press
you mean, your companies? You think I work for like Time Warner or something?
your press companies, you work for Channel 5.
It's a YouTube channel called Channel 5.
So Clavicular thought that he actually worked for a. He didn't know that. Oh shit. Oh, I think I'm good. Reconnecting. I think OBS is reconnecting. Hopefully it's okay. Can you guys still see me? I guess I'm still live, huh? Okay, reconnection successful. There we go. What was I saying? I don't even know what I was saying, bro. Yeah, he actually thought he worked for a news station, Channel 5 Weather Report, yeah. He doesn't even, yeah. You work for Channel 5? You work for Channel 5? No, dude, like, this is my YouTube channel. It's just called Channel 5.
I don't know what
I'm not
it
sure.
is. I'm the CEO of my own company. I don't have any
CEO of my own company.
agenda to play here.
Holy semantics, dude. Like,
Semantics. These aren't semantics. These aren't semantics, bro. These aren't semantics. This is actually, you said I work for a company and I don't. You know, that's actually very relevant. What's the relevance? So holy semantics, bro. Holy semantics. He should have been like, he honestly shouldn't have said that. He shouldn't have said holy semantics. He should have been like, and what's the relevance? What's the relevance of this? What's the relevance of this? The relevance is that you said that I worked for a news station and I don't. You said that I have like some sort of agenda for this news station that I work for and I don't, because it's just me, you know? Semantics. This isn't semantic. It's not like your and your, like Y-O-U-R and Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. You know, it's not semantic. Is that semantics?
Like,
It's
what
a
are we
pretty
talking?
big
I don't even know what semantics is.
difference between working for an affiliate news station like
Hey, Marshall, would you ever debate YV edit? I don't know, dude. I think that might be the last thing I ever do if I did it. You know, that would probably be the end of me, to be honest. I don't think I could. I don't think I would ever debate her just because. I don't know. I've seen what she's capable of, dude, and I think she would just. I think she would do what all women do to me, and she would just confuse me. She would just confuse me into the point where I actually don't even know like who I am anymore. I don't know where I am. I don't know how I got here. I don't know what I believe. I don't know what I stand for. I don't know what's true and what's not. And, you know, at that moment, she would devour me. She would devour me. And, because the thing is, I would use like logic and I would try to stay intellectually honest and logically consistent. Whereas she doesn't play by those rules, right? So those aren't the rules that women play by. The logic means nothing to them. So you're trying to, you know, go to war with someone with some sort of set of rules that you have of like engagement, like you can't do this, you can't do this, you know, this is off limits, can't go here, can't use this sort of weapon or whatever. And the other side just has none of those rules. They don't care about any of that. So yeah, they're gonna ladar you, they're gonna mog you. And they're just gonna eat you alive. So that's kind of the issue that you run into, actually, with really, you know, discussing anything with any woman, really. But Marshall is overestimating some Foyd. Is Foyd? I don't know. I think she has. I don't know what Foyd actually means. I'm not on the forums, guys. But I know it's or is it derogatory? Is it a derogatory term for a woman? Or is it just mean a woman is a Foyd different from a femcel or something? I don't know. I don't know how these things work, but
Channel 5, the TV company.
Well, the fact of the matter is, like, you guys specifically reach out. We want to interview him about Looksmaxxing, and then you'll start asking like
Foyd, female humanoid. Well, that kind of actually fits her pretty well.
political questions, and I'm just like, okay, like I don't mind it. You know what I mean? I'm not really.
You seem like you mind it, bro. You seem like you absolutely mind it. You seem like that's the only thing is you mind it.
Like afraid to answer anything. You know, gone through every single question of yours besides the one about my security, which is a little bit weird. But yeah, not a single attempt at anything in regards to Looksmaxx.
Okay, what's a question I should ask?
Well, that's up to you.
What do you mean? That's up to you? I mean, if it's up to him, he's gonna. If you say what question should I ask, and then you're like, well, that's up to you. Well, I was just asking the questions. If it was up to me, I was just asking the questions that I was going to ask, but you had a problem with it. You know what I mean? He wants him to ask questions about Looksmaxxing specifically and not get into any other stuff. Don't ask him hard questions. Don't ask me questions that make me look bad, or ask me hard questions or gotcha questions, you know. Just ask me questions that are about Looksmaxxing, everything in good faith, all this stuff. I mean, I get it, but you gotta understand that people are gonna try to get some content from you, you know? They don't want it to be boring. They don't want it to be boring.
He's
Well,
like,
you're
what
telling
am I
me-
going to tell you how to do your job?
You're telling me
I mean,
you want me to ask you about specific scientific questions about different Looksmaxxing methods,
well, I mean, just,
and you're not happy with the question about the peptides or the bone smashing or anything like that.
I mean, like, can you not identify like anything that you have a curiosity about? Like maybe, you know, you wake up with dark circles in your eyes one morning and like,
Oh, he wants what Clav is saying is like, bro, look, I'm a Giga Chad and you're a true cell, or you're a normie. Like, you're a true seller and normie sitting across from a Giga Chad. And like, I'm basically your messiah. I can basically like help you. I can help you. Looksmaxx. And Andrew doesn't care about any of this. Like, he doesn't want to know like tips and tricks. He's not trying to get info on how to Looksmaxx from the god himself, you know? And I think Clav is taking offense to this. He's taking offense to this, you know? So I think that's what's really going on here. He's like, don't you have any curiosity? Don't you want to know? Don't you want to know how to like get rid of the bags under your eyes and stuff like that?
You know, even something like that. I mean, just like, even if you don't give a shit, I mean, like, it would be,
Even if you don't give a shit?
like, at least, you know, you put a little bit of effort into
I think I've
A little bit of effort? There's no effort in asking how to get rid of bags under your eyes.
done a pretty good interview.
From what, like, context? Because if it's from the context of what you guys reached out was your intention, then I would say that you've done a pretty shitty job.
All right. Well, I think people probably want to learn about you, and that was what I was trying to give you the opportunity to do.
Well, no, I know. I think that's totally fair, and that's I applaud you for that. But not one, you know, question about
he's adjusted.
Looksmaxxing.
There's been so many
He's
questions
adjusted.
about Looksmaxxing. I probably asked you about Looksmaxxing like 40 times. I just don't know the specific
the-
science. I'm not in the community.
Okay. Well, I mean, like,
Keeps
if
you gotta
would
chill,
ask
bro.
about
You
like
gotta chill.
something in regards to hair loss, like there's really nothing.
Yeah,
that you-
sure. Hair loss.
You see what I
You're
mean?
telling me what to, you're trying to
I'm
get
telling
me
you
to.
what to ask. So when you wake up every single morning and you take a look in the mirror, you're 100% satisfied with every single thing.
It's like, dude, don't you want to look better? He's basically implicitly saying like, dude, you're kind of chopped. Like, you're kind of busted. Don't you want some tips?
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, dude.
So Andrew said, yeah, I'm pretty, more or less. Yeah, I'm pretty good with the way that I look. And Clav's just like, what? There's no fucking way.
All right. Well, I guess that's just, if you want to be completely disingenuous,
Disingenuous. Now he's saying that's disingenuous.
that's fine with me. I guess there's just no point to continue.
All right.
Oh,
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right.
He's still sitting there. Dude gets up before he does.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys. No worries.
What the hell is this?
Yeah, no, everything's fine.
Are you okay? Are you okay? Did they accost you mentally, emotionally, psychologically? Are you okay? Do you need therapy? Do you need me? Do you need your dick sucked?
We're all good.
We're fine, dude. You're not gonna do anything, bro. You're not gonna do anything. You fucking subhuman. Subhuman with the bald and the glasses and the beard and the beer belly. You're not gonna do anything, bro. The Giga Chad is fine, bro.
Yeah.
He's mogging the whole crew.
Though a bit disappointed that things panned out the way they did, I was too overwhelmed with excitement to trip too hard about Clav cutting things short. I'd just gotten word hours prior that rapper and newly championed First Amendment icon Afro Man was down to give Channel 5.
Okay. We don't give a shit, do we? Wow, bro. Wow. Whoa. All right. What should we watch next? What should we watch next? I'm feeling kind of lazy. I'm gonna boo. Let's see, playlists. Let's go to
Yes, this is a
the only videos that I like are Raymond's. I kind of like, am I going to be replaced by
Dr.
a sex
Pepper
doll?
Thank you so much.
Upload success. Isaiah Paris says, awesome. Isaiah just uploaded a video of him playing guitar, discussing Terra Chads and in the theme of Terra Chads and Subhumans. If you guys want to go check out his newest video. Thank you for the $2, man.
Much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, let me introduce you to our audience. You are a neuroscientist, sex researcher, and you just wrote this book called Sextinction: The Decline of Sex and the Future of Intimacy. And it asks a pretty basic but difficult question, which is, why are we having less sex? And we just passed Valentine's Day. So I thought it was the perfect time to have you on to talk about the book and to understand how it is that we live in a extremely sex positive, sex saturated society, maybe the most in human history, and yet people aren't having sex. So before we get into the why, I want to understand.
That's an interesting point. Most sex positive society in history, and yet people are not having sex. It's great. It's a great point.
The scope of the issue. How significant is the decline in sexual activity?
So the sex recession is actually a pretty big problem. I initially thought it was overblown before I wrote this book. I thought that it was maybe one study showing that people were having a little bit less sex than previously, and that it would blow over, and then in time things would go back to normal. So I was really happy with this book to get the opportunity to sit down and actually go through the data myself to see, is this something that's actually happening? What's causing this phenomenon? And potentially what are solutions if that's the case? So in terms of the scope of it, there was a study that came out in 2016. So that was the first really big study that showed that on average, Americans are having less sex across the board, all age cohorts, this is happening to them. But there was this weird finding that millennials were the first generation to show marked decline in sexual activity, and that by the age of 20, they were more likely to have not had any sexual partners, more so than any other previous generation. So the study authors said,
Thank you, Isaiah, for the $2. Skyrim, but it's a modern game, please. I'm not going to play Skyrim.
this is a trend that's likely
Is that what you're asking? I don't know.
going to continue on for Gen Z, which it has. And additional studies have come out since then showing that on average, 1 in 3 men and 1 in 5 women have not had sex in the last year. So this is particularly pronounced among millennials and Gen Z.
That's me. I'm in that 1 in 3.
So this goes beyond Americans. I mean, this is a global phenomenon. We see this happening in Western countries as well as Eastern countries, basically all developed countries. And as I said, it's pretty much every age group. It's whether you're married or single, but it's happening predominantly among young people, I believe, because they're not getting married. And
No. Isaiah, thank you for the $2, man, but I'm not typing that in.
because they grew up on technology.
I'm not taking requests to type in things into YouTube.
So that's
This isn't. I'm not a. What do you call it? I can't be bought, man. I can't be bought.
another big factor in terms of what's taking the place of sex. So my
They
interest
say everyone has a price. I have no price.
in sexlessness is partially because my background is as a former scientist studying sexuality, but it's also in the context of seeing sex as a way for human beings to connect, for us to have intimacy, emotional intimacy. There was one study from Pew showing that over half of single people have no interest in dating at all right now.
Wow.
So I'm asking myself, well, what's taking the place of sex? What are the long-term repercussions? And what I find with technology is that with each chapter in Sextinction, I go into a different potential explanation or form of technology that I think is contributing to this problem, and what the underlying evolutionary reasons are for why this technology has become so powerful, but also what it predicts in terms of where we're going and how this is going to further lead to, I think, worsening of mental health issues, loneliness, disconnect, hatred between men and women, that type of thing.
The statistic you shared, I just want to underscore it because it really stuck with me. 1 in 3 men reported not having sex in the past year. Same for 1 in 5 women.
Right.
I want to go deeper into the technologies that have come to dominate dating that you write extensively in the book have contributed last year.
Look at her posture, bro. Look at this posture. Relax. Relax. There's a back to your chair. You know that, right? There's a whole back cushion to your chair that you can just lean back on if you want. She's like sitting up ready to take notes. What are they doing? Are they taking notes? Who takes notes in an interview? Come on. You can't remember. You can't just remember things. You can't just go with the flow. Who takes notes? Who are these nerds? Come on. She never got out of her. This is like the teacher's pet in the front row of, you know, 9th grade or 7th grade or something. This is how the chick in the front of your class would sit. Always. Never sat back. Always up. Always ready to take notes. She never actually left. She never actually left.
Same for 1 in 5 women.
Right.
I want to go deeper into the technologies that have come to dominate dating that you write extensively in the book have contributed to this problem, starting with the dating apps. Most people today are meeting over the dating apps. People would think you have countless options in your pocket that you can swipe on, that would lead to more sex. But we've actually seen
Oh, man. Oh, man. I really want to watch some stuff about money with you guys. Probably this one. Maybe I'll watch this one next time. Maybe tomorrow.
Verse outcome. Explain that.
That's right. So dating apps, I do believe, initially had potential in terms of helping people find love, in that it allowed you to meet people outside of your intimate social circles, especially post Me Too. People can't date at work anymore. So it becomes much more difficult for strangers to connect, and especially meeting in person, going up to a stranger, men understandably are a little bit more afraid in terms of what the repercussions might be. I think there's just been a huge cultural shift in terms of making it a little bit more difficult and taboo to just talk to people that you don't know. So dating apps offered promise in that way, but they've been, I mean...
Is that all I am to you, Isaiah? Just a rec machine? Just recommending you? Is that all I am? Huh? I'm just a means to an end, huh? That's all you want? No, there's no price you can buy the rec for. Let's see. $1,000.
Like with any technology, or especially like social media, the algorithm is not completely transparent to the user. So we don't really know why we're being shown certain profiles. We don't really know if we swipe on them, yes or no. You know, what happens? Do they even see if we swipe on them? So people can sit there and spend hours on an app and feel like they're doing something, but they have no idea what the actual outcome is. And so evolutionarily speaking, there was never a time in our history when we could sit in one place and meet, say, 100 people in one sitting, or more than that, depending how much time you spend on the app. Like some people are on the apps constantly, right? If they have more of like a dependence on it, there are...
Yeah, we know this. We know all this. Tell me something I don't know.
There have been studies showing that some people are just on there for either to self-soothe or, you know, stress or boredom or whatever. They're not even looking to date. So that's another thing too, because if you are on there genuinely trying to find love or a relationship or something serious like marriage, and the other person or other people are just on there treating it like a video game, it's not gonna be very productive for you. It's gonna be quite frustrating. So if you're sitting there and you're going through what feels like 100 people that you're meeting, you're not actually meeting them, but your mind can't really differentiate. So it feels as though you've put in all this time to meet 100 people and you may not get a single date, especially for men. It's very difficult for them to, you know, find success on these apps. So it's really demoralizing. It's time consuming. And I do think that's been a big part of why people are so disincentivized from wanting to date, even if it's not on these apps.
My understanding is that 20% of the men on these apps get all of the attention, and then the other 80% get next to nothing. So from your research, what do these 20% of men have that women are interested in?
They tend to be very financially successful. They tend to be more educated. They tend to be probably, well, I mean, I talk about the
Attractive?
3/6 rule in the book. So that's over 6 feet tall, a net income or annual income of over 6 figures. And I sometimes say 6 feet down below. I mean 6 inches below. I won't make that mistake here. So yeah, so basically like a top tier male specimen. And the cultural lore is if you as a woman are not
Top tier male specimen. Talking about a Giga Chad right now, huh? Isaiah, I do not have a poor discount. We don't hand out discounts here. It's survival of the fittest, my man. Thank you for the $2.
going for someone of a man who possesses the 3/6, then you're settling. Don't give any time to any man who doesn't meet these criteria.
I mean, just to put it out clearly, like the 3/6, yeah.
Discounts are what's wrong with society, man.
6 feet tall,
Weakness.
6 figures, and 6-inch penis size.
Penis size, yes.
Which I thought was like a funny way to put it. What was interesting is you said that the pool of men that fit that criteria is so small, especially when you take out men who are already married and men who are gay.
Right.
And this has to do with a concept you talk about in the book, which is that women want to marry up.
Right.
And one other element of the book that I thought was so fascinating was women project what they want in a man onto what they think that they should do in order to get a man. So like they'll be striving in education and financial success, but that's not necessarily going to help them find a partner at all.
Right. So hypergamy is this concept that I'm sure your audience has heard of, where women will prefer to marry and date at the same level of themselves in terms of status or higher. So in terms of, say, education and occupation, women are definitely outperforming their male peers.
So these women actually know. They actually know that the standards that they hold men to are the same standards that they hold themselves to. Like what they're looking for, the attractive markers that they're looking for in a man are the same ones that they're going to pursue themselves within themselves, which is just delusional. Like, what are you doing? What are y'all doing, man? Have you seen the Hunter Moore Netflix documentary? I have not. Thank you for the $2, Library Cop. Isaiah says, can I send 2 until it adds up to $1,000? Yeah, you can. And then, let's see. It would have to be in one. It would have to be in one stream though. So, yeah, have to be in one stream.
Especially younger generations, graduating from high school.
Because I have to remember, I have to be able to count. I have to go through and count them all. So, yeah.
Greater rates, same as going to university, doing advanced degrees in the workplace, everything. So women are doing very, very well. Yeah. And I think part of the issue is that the education system is biased slightly in favor of female success, but also that we have initiatives like diversity, equity, and inclusion, so DEI, which actively penalizes men, especially.
She's kind of based, huh? She's kind of based. Who knew?
Especially white and Asian men and straight men. So, I mean, in academia, I've heard countless stories of, say, job postings or internal hirings where they specifically will say white men should not apply. They'll discourage white men from applying. It doesn't matter how.
How is your mother, Marshall? Please describe her. I'm not going to describe my mom. Let's not talk about my mother.
Successful you are as an academic or as a scientist, they'll just say this position is going to be for a minority. So if we don't hire a minority, we have to justify that. So there's this active bias against men. So
honestly, if I talk about my mom, I half suspect that she might like make a lawsuit against me and just throw me in prison or something.
Oh, the issue with that is, it's discrimination, it's unfair, but
I'm kidding.
Also in terms of mating for young women, especially who are looking to settle down, there's going to be a much smaller pool in terms of men that they will be attracted to or want to settle down with. And I think the issue with young progressive women who are pushing for this, especially I would say in media, when you look at the coverage of how DEI is so great and that, too bad for these men, we don't care, they can sit and cry, well, that's their problem, is that they mistakenly think that when young men are not having sex and that they're not doing as well, they're going to be fighting over the women.
Do I have to address super chats? Is it like a legal thing? Thank you for the $2, Isaiah. He says, I'm Thomas Jefferson Maxing. You're attention maxing is what you are right now.
Women to get a wife. But what these women don't realize is these are not the men they're going to be interested in dating, right? So these poor men have been completely removed from the equation. And the women are now fighting for the same pool of highly successful men, regardless of what age or how financially successful or how educated those young women are. Because as you said, men typically don't care as much about education or financial status in their female partners. But what you'll see women doing, especially I think very educated and progressive women, is because they look for status in their male partners, they think that their male partners also care about that in them. And some men do, but definitely men tend to on average care more about fertility and youth, right? Which is different. and we can have a conversation about how fair that is. But, you know, that's just the reality in terms of what there are sex differences in terms of what.
How fair that is. I mean, you can't really do much about that. Even if it's not fair, you can't do anything about it.
Men and women are looking for in their partners. And so these women are hustling at work, and I think that's great. They're very ambitious. I celebrate that. I think it's great for women to be successful and educated and ambitious, but that's not necessarily going to make you more valuable in a.
So the point here is you got to pick. What do you want to do? There's only trade-offs here. So yeah, it's great. It's great. Keep doing it, girl. Keep doing it. Get on your independent boss shit. But yeah, you're not going to get a man that you want. So you're not going to be happy with a man. So you got to pick. You got to pick. They're just, you know,
male partner's eyes. And in some cases, it's making it more difficult for them because as they become more successful, they're going to.
Thank you, Isaiah, for the $2 again. I missed your first super chat. Apologies about that.
Struggle even more to find a more successful man.
I'm not perfect.
And the men that they are interested in dating, some men do find it intimidating, or they don't want to date a woman who's more successal than they are, because you hear that side of it too. So I think there's a lot of cultural messaging going on.
They don't want it what?
Well-meaning or well.
I wish I could.
That's not necessarily going to make.
I wish I could zoom in on the timeline, but I can't.
More, valuable in a male partner's eyes. And in some cases, it's making it more difficult for them because as they become more successful, they're going to struggle even more to find a more successful man.
Correct. These are all things that I've said. I've said all these things on my. Are you just watching my videos? Who is this? Who is this? Who is this? They don't even say who this is. Oh, Deborah. So, Deborah, you've been watching my videos? I think Deborah's really just been watching my videos, honestly. She's probably just been watching my videos. I mean, I'm not the only one who talks about this. She's probably just been watching all the manosphere. Then she comes on here and like she's a doctor apparently. You had to get a degree, like you're a doctor. You have a PhD to learn about some shit that I figured out literally gooning in a basement. Like you had to pay $200,000 or $300,000 to get this degree. Spend 10 years of your life trying to get a degree to tell me something that I figured out gooning to a Bella Danger on a 5-hour binge in my basement at the age of 33. You're irrelevant. It just goes to show that, you know, men are better than women, bro. Men are better than women, bro. I can do what she can do with. She had to go and read books and listen to professors and do tests and fill in bubbles, multiple choice blank. You know? She had to learn all this stuff, discuss it with her classmates, read all these books, write all these reports, maybe suck a few dicks, suck a few professor dicks, you know? Me? I'm doing nothing, bro. I'm throwing some microwavables in the microwave, heating it up, and just chilling in my basement. I figured out all of what you figured out. Got no formal education. It's a joke.
And the men that they are interested in dating, some men do find it intimidating, or they don't want to date a woman who's more successful than they are, because you hear that side of it too. So
it's not that we don't want to date a woman who's more successful than we are. It's just if you would date a woman who's more successful than you are, it's not going to work out. It's not ideal. You're just going to get mogged. You're going to get mogged. She's probably going to cheat on you. You know, she's not going to respect you. You know, she's going to have power in the relationship, financial power over the kids or whatever, house. You got no power in the relationship. I mean, how does she respect a man if he doesn't have power over her? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just weird. But apparently we're insecure for that. We're trying to ensure your own happiness, though.
I think there's a lot of cultural messaging going on that is well-meaning or well-intended, but not helpful. So that's the goal of Sextinction, was really to try and clear some of those myths.
One thing that I was curious about as I was reading the book is this, to me, explains why women are not coupling or getting married. But I was curious how that leads to sex recession, in the sense of, couldn't women who are high achieving still be having sex with men who are hot, but maybe like dumb and poor, is maybe like the crassest way to put it. But
Right.
essentially, I was curious to pick your brain about that.
Well, I would say that women
Yeah, they can bang him. They can bang him, yeah, but that's it.
definitely, we have an easier time having access to sex than men. Women typically prefer to have sex within the context of a relationship or a commitment, some form of commitment or investment, and potentially, or I would say probably exclusivity. I don't think most women want to share their male partners, and most men don't want to share their female partners either.
Right.
But I would say a woman is probably going to, strategically, evolutionarily, it makes sense for a woman to want to get to know a guy before she has sex with him, because there's a chance for pregnancy. Even if you are on birth control, whatever, like, we're just wired to be thinking this way because that served our ancestors. So a woman will prefer to delay having sex with a guy. She wants to know him better, make sure that he's has resources to take care of her and potentially offspring, that he's a good person, that he's not going to hurt her or harm her. And what you'll find when you have a smaller pool of men who are considered viable or, say, attractive, is they will be calling the terms. So they will say, okay, I have basically not an unlimited number of female partners who are interested, but very many of them. So if I want to have sex on the first date, I will. And if you won't, someone else will. So the women lose their bargaining power in that case. And in the book, I say, as a woman, we could probably go out on the street and pick a random guy, and there's a good chance that he will say yes if we ask to sleep with him, right? Which I don't advise anyone to do. But
If you
it's
ask
not like
them to
that
be
for
in a
men at all.
relationship.
But at the same time, women are quite picky because it's going to serve them in their best interest. So,
That's the thing, is like they'll go, they can go out and be like, hey, you want to have sex with me? And dudes will say, yeah. But if they go out and they say, hey, you want to be in a relationship with me? I think that answer changes a lot. It's not going to be an automatic yes.
in the book, I
Probably that percentage drops.
say, as a woman, we could
astronomically.
probably go out on the street and pick a random guy, and there's a good chance that he will say yes if we ask to sleep with him, right? Which I don't advise anyone to do. But it's not like that for men at all. But at the same time, women are quite picky because it's going to serve them in their best interests. If, again, coming from the position of, if you have a child with this person, you want the potential father to be someone who is going to be able to take care of you, good moral standing, attractive, because that correlates to health.
Evolutionarily, the
Yeah.
dependency. Right.
Yeah.
You don't know what an AI work management platform is? AI-powered changes.
I want to pivot to social media, which is another beast in this environment that's leading to less marriage, less dating, less sex. You have this detour in the book that I found so interesting, which is that we're in this environment where we have an unprecedented amount of images of both men and women, right, that are enhanced with easy to use editing services like Facetune, and also a world where cosmetic surgeries and enhancements have been totally democratized. You don't even need surgeries right now. You can do injectables and Botox and filler. We're so saturated with this content. My question is, what does the research say about how this is impacting what men think is realistic in finding a partner?
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah. I found it very fascinating for myself. Like, social media, we all know that it's not really good for us. We've heard about the mental health effects and especially
I haven't talked about porn at all. And porn is huge.
in younger cohorts. But I do think it affects adults, even those of us who grew up before social media, especially if you spend a lot of time on these platforms. So there have been studies that show that the more time you spend on social media, there's a greater risk for depression. I think especially for Gen Z. Gen Z generally has a tendency toward anxiety. Over half of Zoomers have a diagnosed mental health condition, and of those, 90% have anxiety. So I do think a lot of that is coming from being online. Anxiety.
What?
Over half of Zoomers have a diagnosed mental health condition.
What? Over half of them have a diagnosed mental health condition?
And of those, 90% have anxiety.
So, what? 40 40 what? 50%, 90% of 50% is what, like 45%, something like 47% of Gen Z have anxiety? Yikes.
So I do think a lot of that is coming from being online and seeing this content. I mean, social media is not representative
Dude, everyone's fucked. Everyone's fucked, bro.
of real life. But if you spend so much time being bombarded with these images, you begin to internalize them and you do think that this is what you're supposed to look like or this is how people behave. So it has repercussions beyond, I would say, mating psychology in terms of dating and the types of partners we want to settle down with, what we think we should accept in a relationship, what we want, what we look for, all of these things. Body image. It's affecting boys and men as well, which I was quite surprised of because we hear a lot more about the effects on girls and young women, especially because I think with plastic surgery, it's so visible when, say something with like body dysmorphia, when someone gets a lot of work done.
She's still sitting up, by the way. Still sitting up. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. You're going to be here for over an hour. It's all right. It's all right, baby girl. You can lean back. Relax. It's not that serious. She talks fast, too. She's so Asian, bro. She's just so Asian. Would you guys bang?
And in many cases,
Would you guys bang?
these are young women, you know, they're in their, I've seen girls in their teens even, where, you know, my hometown.
She's got great posture, I will say that. Yeah, you're impressed with her posture, same.
Where they will have a visible amount of work done in their teens. And I'm just horrified because I'm thinking that's the last thing you need to be worrying about when you're that young. You do not have the facial fat loss, one, to justify needing these procedures.
Right.
And even still, I mean, that's when you are objectively, by society standards, the most attractive. So that's what initially got me interested in it. But then to find that it's also in young men and boys with Looksmaxxing, and that's a subject that's become quite popular lately. And
Explain what Looksmaxxing is for people who don't know.
So it's this emphasis, like some women take part in this as well, but it's very male dominated, and it's this desire to have hyper masculine facial features and also similar body structure. So like an inverted triangle, so really large muscles, very low body fat, and then facially to have a very strong jawline, brow bone. These are all indicators of high testosterone. So the belief is that within this community is that women want the super masculine, hyper alpha giga chad guy.
Right.
And because women are hypergamous, quote unquote, they will just keep trading up to the hottest guy possible. So you have to be basically top tier, hottest man alive. And so there are young boys on these forums who sometimes they're prepubescent, so they haven't even reached puberty yet. And they are saying, okay, what medications can I take to extend puberty so that I can grow taller? What hormones should I be taking to make my face more masculine? And I mean, speaking as a woman, I can tell, like, we don't really care that much. We care more about status, right? You know,
Or resources.
Resources. Are you successful? Are you hardworking?
Right.
What's your plan? Do you have a future? Are you kind, right? How do you treat your partner? And the other thing is that hyper masculine, like, we don't really care that much. We care more about status, right? You know,
Resources.
Resources. Yeah, I don't got no resources, bitch. I got nothing. I got nothing for you. I got nothing for you. I got nothing for you. Resources, status, neither. Neither. You ever heard of the black pill community? I got a smidge of status there. Other than that, nothing.
Resources. Are you successful? Are you hardworking?
Are you successful? Are you hardworking? Successful, by what metric? What does successful mean? Does that mean monetarily successful? Is this what we're talking about? I'm sure it is, right? You guys care. Basically what they're saying is they're materialists, right? They're materialistic. Leeches. Yes, leeches.
What's your plan? Do you have
What's your plan? What's your plan? She sits across from you. First date. What's your plan? What's your plan? See, I'd be fucked, bro. I would be fucked. I mean, I'd hit it. But, I mean, I don't got a plan, though. I'm sorry. Not really a plan. What's your plan? I don't know. Everybody got a plan until they get hit. You know? That's what I would say to her. I can't tell if anyone's for real in the chat. None of us are for real in the chat. Come on now. You gotta know. You gotta know. We're all mad here. We're all mad. We're all mad down here. I guess she's honest though. Yeah, she's honest. Plan is to survive in the basement. Yeah. They did studies, and having an advanced degree is one of the worst negative correlations with dating success. The most beneficial are ADHD, smoking cigarettes, and previous criminal records. Yeah. They're full of shit, bro. They're full of shit.
The future. Are you kind, right? How do you
Do you have a plan? Are you kind? No. No. Do you have a plan? No. Are you kind? No.
treat your partner? And the other thing is that hypermasculinity is also associated with downsides like aggression, cheating, anti.
Oh no, Marin's back. Marin's back. Oh no. Oh no, Marin's back. Oh no. Marin, chill, bro. Chill, bro. Don't fucking hand me my entire month's fucking income in one stream.
Sociality. So women who tend to be attracted
Why do you want my strike username, bro? I can't give you that. I already told you. Chill.
to super hyper masculine guys, it tends to be more for short-term purposes in terms of a fling or whatever, which some people have said to me, well, you know, these guys are younger, they might not be looking for something serious. But I do think at the core, most if not all of us do want to eventually.
No, it's short term because they're getting pumped and dumped by Chad, you know? Chad just wants to slay. He just wants to spread his seed. That's why it's short term. Plus, they don't have a plan, and they're not kind. They don't have a plan. They don't have material resources oftentimes, you know? They don't give a shit about that. There's something here, man. There's something here. There's something fucking here, bro. I have to figure this out. I just had like a moment. Sometimes I'll like very, very often, I'll have like moments where like something is starting to like connect. There's something about like the incentives with like society. It's almost like this society is constructed in a way where typically, you know, alpha male sort of behaviors are not actually rewarded in this society. Whereas I think they used to be, but they're not anymore. I think it has something to do with the money. Yeah, there's something. This is something I'm gonna have to like really. It's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while to manifest, but I'm sure there's something here. Because this society rewards beta male behavior, basically. Like men get money and status and have a plan and are kind, right? All these things that they're good in a security sense. They have resources. What women are typically looking for. Kindness, all this stuff, dependability, not unpredictable, right? All these things. This is what society is rewarding. But these are actually not things that women actually find attractive, which is It's like they do, but they don't, right? It's this weird thing. It's this weird thing. I don't know. Something strange is going on.
Actually find love and find someone.
Find love? What are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? Love? What are you talking about? You just said plan. You have resources. Do you have success? Are you successful? Do you have a plan? Are you kind? Where does this love thing come in? What? What do you mean love? This has been purely calculated, cold calculated.
Antisociality. So women who tend to be attracted to super hyper masculine guys, it tends to be more for short-term purposes in terms of a fling or whatever, which some people have said to me, well, you know, these guys are younger, they might not be looking for something serious. But I do think at the core, most, if not all of us, do want to eventually find love and find someone who wants to be with us for the rest of our lives and not just be dating around and sleeping around.
Yeah.
And I do think especially, it's funny because there's one Looksmaxxing guy, I won't say who he is, but I'm sure everyone knows who I'm referring to. And masculinity
Clavicular.
is also associated with downsides like aggression, cheating, antisocial taller. What hormones should I be taking to make my face more masculine? And I mean, speaking as a woman, I can.
We just have to listen to this, okay? We all have to listen to this next like 2-minute segment because she completely just doesn't realize her own mental her own yeah, I guess it's a contradiction. I'm looking for another term though.
Can tell,
cognitive dissonance here.
like, we don't really care that much. We care more about status, right? You know,
Or resources.
Resources. Are you successful? Are you hardworking?
Right.
What's your plan? Do you have a future? Are you kind? Right? How do you treat your partner?
Status, resources, kind, successful, plan.
And the other thing is that hyper masculinity is also associated with downsides like aggression, cheating, antisociality. So women who tend to be attracted to super hyper masculine guys, it tends to be more for short-term purposes in terms of a fling or whatever, which some people have said to me, well, you know, these guys are young.
I mean, it's almost like you could, the ideal is to have harems, right? It's almost like women they would be happy if they could just have like a harem. If they could just be with the Chad, with the alpha dude, but just share him, you know? We got to get back to that being like socially acceptable. Because I feel like that's kind of what they want.
Younger, they might not be looking for something serious. But I do think at the core, most, if not all of us, do want to eventually find love and find someone who wants to be with us for the rest of our lives and not just be dating around and sleeping around.
Yeah.
And
find someone for love. What the hell are you talking about? What does love mean to you? Isn't love something where it's like you love this person regardless of what they have? Why call it love if you're only interested in a person for, you know, X, Y, and Z, you know, material things, these boxes being checked? Why call that love? Because it's not. That isn't love. That's just cold, calculated, like pure analysis, right? Why call that love? It's ridiculous to talk about that in conjunction with what you just said before. Love, if you're talking about love should be, if it means anything, it means, you know, you're into a person despite their shortcomings in all these material boxes, right? That would be love. Doesn't matter what they look like. You're into them. Doesn't matter that they don't have a lot of money. You're into them. Doesn't matter their height. You're into them. Doesn't matter that they don't have a plan. You're into them. You want to be with them forever. You know what I mean? That is what I would care. That is what I would think what love is. I don't know. I don't know what, you know? I mean, even if even if love is based on certain traits that produce success or a plan or security or being kind or status or whatever, if love is based on just those traits, that potential for those things, and maybe the man doesn't have those things yet, he hasn't checked those boxes yet, but you see that he has characteristics and traits and qualities that he has the potential to fulfill those things, to get those boxes checked in the future. You know? If that's love, then you would get with guys before they're anything, right? Before they're successful, or they have resources, or they have status, or they have this, or they have that. Women would just see the traits. That's actually what they're more attracted to, is the potential for it, the traits for it, the temperament for it, the whatever, the intelligence for it, or the social charisma, or whatever for it. They're not necessarily into the outcome necessarily. But we don't even see this, though. So that doesn't even make sense. It's not that you're even into the potential for it. It's not that you're into the traits. You're actually into, so it's not even that, which would be better, but it's not that, because women don't get with men in that regard. They get with men who have already done it, who already succeeded. At least I think so. At least I think so. I don't know, I could be wrong. I don't know. The thing is, man, I think I just need to find a woman who's kind of, you know, she's just kind of chopped in a little bit. I think I need to lower my standards, you know. I'm pretty sure that's the only way I can get a chick. So by the way, I have a next weekend it's not a date. It's not a date because this chick she's an old friend, and she has a boyfriend. She's had a boyfriend for many years. Although she has tried to sleep with me many times, or she's come on to me at least. She's made moves on me twice, like definitive moves on me twice, actual moves where she like actually came on to me. And one of them was while she was dating this guy. She was she was just all over me, but yeah, we're gonna go and get like a beer, like
unknown caller.
Because she's the one who recommended the show Industry to me, so, and which was terrible. But, you know, she's kind of, you know, she's just kind of the one, you know, we all have a chick, well, maybe not the subhumans, or the saint tiers, or the true cells, but we all, you know, us normies and stuff, Chad lights, whatever, we all have women that you have at least one that's kind of, you can always, you know, that you could bang if you wanted, but it's not really something that you want to do, you know. It's not really something that you want to do, but she's not bad. She's not bad looking. She's not bad looking. She's not bad looking at all, but I don't know. I've just never really seen her in that way. Just never really been sexually attracted to her. But anyway, I don't know why I brought that up, but who knows? Oh yeah, because I was saying I got to get with women who are a little more like, just gotta drop my standards a bit. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I shouldn't talk about this because it's like, if I talk about these things online, it's like, I feel like there's some sort of karmic thing where it's like, if you use your life and like things that are going on for content, then things are not going to happen. But then I think of like people like Clavicular, and the dude's literally streaming his entire life. And like shit happens all the time for him. You know, he's probably getting mad puss and shit. So it's like, yeah, probably not. It's probably fine, but whatever.
And I do think especially, it's funny because there's one Looksmaxxing guy, I won't say who he is, but I'm sure everyone knows who I'm referring to. And even with him, I've seen clips where his girlfriends will be like, you know, you need to pay me this much or whatever, you know, for me to hang around with you. So even when you have that much clout, women still, they do. And I don't blame women. I'm not saying women are gold diggers.
You have to pay me this much. Is that what Clavicular's doing? Is he paying women to be around him? That's what Sandra's accusing him of. Or Deborah. Yeah, Deborah.
So I think, you know, as a sex, women should be allowed to want what they want, just as men should be allowed to want what they want. But, you know, I don't think the solution is to tell guys that you should be so hyperfixated on the way you look. I think part of it is that young men sense that there are these cultural barriers for them or socially imposed ones in terms of DEI. They feel that the cards are stacked against them as men. So they think they're young, they're starting out their career, they don't have the financial success yet. So they say, well, what can I do? I can just be really hot. And that, I mean, it works to some extent. But long term, I don't think it's going to bring them the happiness that they're seeking.
Yeah, and just to one example that I think is interesting is there's this influencer that has really popularized this movement, Clavicular, I believe his name is. I think he's like 19.
Clavicular, I think his name is. You know who he is. Come on. Stop. Clavicular, I think his name is. You know who he is. Just stop. That was like it's so blatant. It's just so blatant. Like, she's Clav imprinted. Yeah, exactly. Like, come on. You know who Clavicular is. This chick knows who Clavicular is. Come on. Chill.
But I wrote a
Clavicular, I think his name is. Oh my God. I'm so done with women's just like, they're just gaslighting everyone. I think his name is. Just stop.
list of the
You're not fooling anyone.
things he does. It's really interesting, like thousands of dollars into injectable therapies, meth to suppress his appetite, like literal meth.
To hollow out his cheekbones.
Yeah, I was shocked by that. Steroids, the bone smashing,
which is dangerous, and I don't suggest anyone do that.
You know, even like when I was watching the movie The Materialist, one of the main plot points, spoiler, is that men undergo leg breaking so that they can become taller.
Yeah.
It was like I mean, I didn't realize that people actually do that in real life.
They do, so they can break
the real Hugo Boss in the chat. We got a mod back. Dude, you've been gone. You weren't here yesterday. How long you been here, man? Good to have you back.
their shin bones to grow, I believe, 3 inches, and they want another 3 inches, they can break their thigh bones as well. But it looks excruciatingly painful, and it takes months for the bones to repair.
And it's fascinating because at the end of the day, linking it back to what you said earlier, women don't really care as much as men think they care.
Right. I say in the book, I mean, you can be a miniature ogre. And if you are rich, women are still going to throw themselves at you, which again might sound.
Deborah, I have a whole chat that begs to differ. Deborah, don't you know who subhumans are?
At the end of the day, linking it back to what you said earlier, women don't really care as much as men think they care.
The thing is, we can't trust anything you say. So if you say that you don't care, we think you're lying. So.
Right. I say in the book, I mean, you can be a miniature ogre. And if you are rich, women are still going to throw themselves at you.
A miniature ogre. So you're 5'4" goblin. And if you got money, women are going to throw that. So basically what she's saying, like, she's laughing. So basically they're just what? They're just money hounds? Like, they're just money. Like, these chicks are just money hungry. Like, just give me money, 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 money. Yo, you guys ever heard of like spirituality, bro? Do you ever spiritual max? You know what spiritual maxing is, huh? Yo, try to get some spirituality in your life. Jesus Christ. Is there anything that you like think is good or interesting or like cool about men other than like how much money they have? Like, God. Miniature ogre is an oxymoron. Yeah, that's a good point.
which again might sound really crass and might be really superficial, but to say men are going to look for beauty and we're wired to be that way. I don't think that's the only thing that matters. Obviously.
That's a good point. Yeah, men are only looking for beauty. That's a good point. Yeah, I guess fair point. Fair point. Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have anything. I don't have any comeback to that. Touche. Look, maybe we just have to all accept that it's all been shallow from the jump, you know. We want beauty, we want aesthetics, right? We care about the body, about looks, and women apparently care about security and resources and money. And you know, you can't get mad at it. You can't get mad at it because you're the same. You can't get mad at them because you're just as shallow, right? So neither of us are interested in the person for the person underneath what can be seen or what can be given or anything material. So
obviously it matters as well. You know, do you get along? Do you have chemistry? Do you care about each other? Do you prioritize each other? Those things. But by and large, I don't think the solution for men, especially if you're short, because I hear from many men who say, you know, I don't meet these criteria. I have no luck in dating. But I think, you know, if you have it, you can have other things going for you. And if you are so fixated on what you don't have, I think you're probably also bringing that to the table when you meet people, and they can probably pick up on that.
One more point on this, from on the other side for women, you write in the book, I thought this was interesting, 1 in 11 men reported feeling less interested in having sex with his partner after looking at social media influencers. And it reminded me of something else that I thought was interesting, which is there was this sort of viral phenomenon where there was this picture of Addison Rae, who is like pop icon, really gorgeous, and she's curvy, and the comment section was this combination of men being like, ooh, she's fat, which I thought was off base, paired with people saying like, why are all these incels calling this like objectively like gorgeous woman fat? But it like speaks to this like sort of cyclical issue.
Addison Rae? Never even heard of her. Damn, yeah, she's hot. She looks like True Kate. Fuck my life. Fuck my life, bro. Women are just people that we look at online.
Where like men think that they, well, I guess maybe a subset of men think that they deserve this one thing. And I'm curious where you see this all going.
Yeah, well, go back to your
where we see it all going. We're all fucked. That's where it's going.
Earlier question in terms of the warped perception. I do think it makes when you spend so much time on social media, I do think it changes what you think the norm is in terms of attractiveness.
Yeah.
And so everyone is just looking for the most attractive partners possible, even though, you know, they're average looking people and they do just fine in the real world as well. I mean, when you look around at couples, not every married man is 6 feet tall or taller, right? It's possible. You can be shorter than even 5'8" and still be happily married. It's not impossible. Women will still find you attractive. So in terms of the, you know, I find it interesting because anytime I comment on this, about this on social media, it's so polarizing. And like you said, it's like the incels are so quick to come in and claim their turf. And it's amusing to me, but and still be happily married. It's not impossible. Women will still find you attractive. Partners possible, even though, you know, they're average looking people and they do just fine in the real world as well. I mean, when you look around at couples, not every married man is 6 feet tall or taller, right? It's possible. You can be shorter than even 5'8" and still be happily married.
I mean, you can be poor and still be happily married. I mean, you could be a dude that like makes no money and you're just some 6'2" giga chad. Like, you know, smokes weed all the time and you can be happily married. You know. What do we think is more common though? Probably the 5'8" ogre with money. It's probably more often happily married than the 6'2" chad that just has nothing going for him, does Uber Eats or something. You know, I don't know. It's just, I don't think there's anything really special about money that isn't also special about like looks, you know. if a 5'8" ogre with money can be happily married, I don't see why some dude who's like broke, who's a Chad, can't be happily married too. So, I mean, if she's making the case that money is how you be happily married and not looks, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of wild. That's a wild statement to make. They put a lot of emphasis on money, don't they? They don't really put a lot of emphasis on looks. They're kind of anti Looksmaxxers, these chicks. Kind of anti Looksmaxxer.
It's not impossible. Women will still find you attractive. So in terms of the, I find it interesting because anytime I comment on this, about this on social media, it's so polarizing. And like you said, it's like the incels are so quick to come in and claim their turf. And it's amusing to me.
Guys, I gotta take a fucking piss, bro. I gotta take a fucking piss. I'll be back. Oh. Ugh.
But I also find it worrisome because these ideas, it's not just contained within social media. It's not just within these pockets on the internet anymore. It really has become mainstream in terms of dating.
Yeah.
And so if you're out there, it can get pretty wild. But in terms of where I see it going, I really think unless we all get off of social media, which I advocate for, I really see it getting worse. And then the other technologies I talk about are coming in to take the
She advocates for everyone getting off of social media? It's interesting.
place of the connection and intimacy that we used to have with each other, that men and women used to have, even to just have good faith interactions and not assume that the other person is malicious or is horrible or whatever.
Through all of this, as we sort of alluded to, there's these two buckets: men who are getting all of the attention and then men who are getting no attention. And one interesting thread from that is that the men who are getting all of the attention are dating, from the research, multiple women. And you write, widespread integration of polyamory in society will only worsen the sex discrepancy. Explain how, I guess, one, men have taken their status and effectively used it to facilitate polyamorous arrangements and what the outcome has.
Isaiah sends the $2, says, I left the stream because I'm sad. I hope you cheer up, man. I hope you cheer up. Sad to see you go, man. I'll hopefully I see you next time.
Has been.
Right, because I think people who are pushing for polyamory women mistakenly think that they're going to have a collection of these really high status, really attractive, great men clamoring for them. And it could be wonderful. They're going to have their pick of the lot. But the reality is, as I alluded to earlier, is that because there's a smaller number of these attractive, successful men, the women are going to be actually in a place of a disadvantage because they're going to be fighting for these men. So they're going to have less of an ability to ask for what they want and get what they want. So if they are polyamorous, they're definitely going to be sharing those attractive men with other women.
Right.
And those men are not going to settle down with them. And usually within polyamory, you have I don't know this from experience, I'm saying this from a research perspective. Usually there's a primary partner. So you'll have your main partner and then you'll have a polycule with like a couple of so-called polycule with like a couple of primary partners. But usually there's one and then you move out from there. I typically think polyamory is a sign that a person is not that into their partner. Whoever brings it up in the relationship, if you want to open up your relationship, it's a huge red flag. If someone is saying that to you, it means they probably want to end things, but they're either they don't have the confidence to go out and just be on their own,
Right.
or they're using this as a chance to leapfrog into a different relationship and then leave you behind.
Dan Savage has these two terms that I think are really interesting, which is UDS and PUDS, which is poly under duress and open under duress. Have you heard these?
No.
Well, it sort of speaks to what you're saying, which is one partner in a relationship will say, either we open the relationship or make it polyamorous, or I'm walking away.
Okay.
And then people end up in these arrangements that one partner doesn't really want to be in.
Right. Yeah, which is really sad and unfortunate, and it's going to end anyway.
One other thing from this section I found was interesting, which is that you write, a lot of women don't realize they're in polyamorous arrangements. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
To some extent, I think because when you look at the numbers, how it breaks down, there are more single young men than there are single young women. So how is that possible? So these women are either going to be dating older, like outside of their age cohort, or they are all dating the same pool of men at the same time and they don't realize it. So polyamory, typically, from my understanding of that community, if you are in such an arrangement, you should have an open discussion. And
So basically harems already exist, except women just don't know about it. Basically, modern society is harems. It's just harems where women don't know that they're in a harem. Basically. So. I think women just kind of want to be in a harem. You know? They kind of want to share men. They're okay with sharing a man with other women. It's just kind of the truth. I think they all have to accept that. They're all dating the same men. So, yeah.
And let your primary partner and the other people you're sleeping with know that you're sleeping with other people. Also from a sexual health perspective, I think that's only fair because you're potentially putting other people's health at risk depending on how responsible you are. But and there's a difference between polyamory and open relationships too, because polyamory there's more of a focus on love, but I still just think it's a disaster. I don't suggest people go that route.
Do you think we should bring shame?
I don't suggest people go that route. I mean, you guys are probably in that route unknowingly. You guys are probably both. I mean, I haven't looked at their fingers. I think she has a ring on her left, a left ring finger. So I think she's married. So, I mean, you guys are probably, who knows? You guys might be dating the same guy. What if they're both sleeping? What if they're both sleeping with the same guy?
In a way, I mean, maybe
that would be great. That would be so great.
That sounds harsh, but I think it's really polyamory and one might even say polygamy to some extent have had just like a total rebrand. I was watching this viral video of Neo, the famous R&B artist, talk about his 3 wives on a popular interview show. And I was like, wow, like this is really normalizing something that we wouldn't have considered normal even 20 years ago.
I mean, this was what was normal for most of human history, so. Well, maybe for kings, actually. Maybe for like kings and like leaders of empires, but maybe not for the average common man.
I'm curious which state he's in because I didn't know that was legal. Or is he just speaking like facetiously?
Maybe he's speaking facetiously. Maybe they're not like literally married.
Neo, let us know. Where's the camera?
Yeah. But no, he was like, this is the arrangement that works.
She's still sitting up, by the way. Still sitting up. Yeah. That posture is on 1,000, man. Her back is probably so fucking strong, bro. I'm having dirty thoughts. Her back is so strong, bro. That's a strong back. Aren't you tired? I'd be sweating at this point. There would be some beads of sweat on my forehead at this point, bro. I can't do that. And there's not even like a bend at all. There's no bend. There's no little give at all. She's straight as a board, dog. Jesus. That's college educated posture, yeah. She's retaining, that's why. Terra posture. Oh man. Yeah, she probably does Pilates. God. Spine maxing. Absolutely. Dude, Asians, man.
Works for me. And this was an interesting thing that speaks to your research as well, as he was like, the host asked him, can they have other relationships? And he goes, absolutely not.
Right. That's the thing.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, so the thing, what we see now happening in society is because polygyny is generally outlawed, what you'll see is these men who are very successful will just have several wives in succession as opposed to at the same time. So they'll have a first wife and they'll have a family. Then they'll have, divorce, have a second wife, start a family, and then potentially go on and have a third wife and start a family. So there's, these consequences are going to be going on.
We need to make polygamy lawful. I mean, if women are okay with being, if the sharing a guy being, just one of 10 wives or 8 wives of a guy, I mean, let them. It's no big deal.
On down the line and affecting multiple generations. And I also just don't think it's good for children to be raised in a situation in which it isn't a 2-parent home where you have both biological parents. Ideally, obviously,
Yeah, the Asian girl's kind of a nerdy baddie. Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. She got that, isn't this the chick from Incredibles? She got that Incredibles, characters. Yeah. She got this going on. She got Edna going on. Images. Got some Edna. She got some Edna going on. Yeah. She's Edna maxing. She's on that Edna mode. But this is like it's like a hot Edna. Hot Edna. That hair, bro. That hair, not a single strand is out of place, man. They're all right next to each other. No strand is overlapping another. They're all just right next to each other, bro. Just lined in perfect rows. There's no overlapping hairs. Incredible. Incredible. Perfectly chopped. Not a stain on this shirt, man. Not a stain on the shirt. Incredible. Posture like a titan. Posture like a Greek god. Posture that endures through centuries, bro. I mean, who is this? Who is this, bro? You know what I mean?
It's not perfect, doesn't always happen, but if you are intentionally bringing a child into the world, and especially when you have, I would say, multiple men raising that child, unless there's definite paternity.
Guess their body count? Interesting. I don't know. She's pretty smart. She probably doesn't have such a high body count. I feel like the other one probably has higher. I don't know. Who do we think has a higher body count? The other one just seems like she has lower standards. She's kind of more fun and just kind of like flirty or whatever. This one, Deborah kind of seems like she's kind of all business. She's got, what's your plan? Are you successful? She's not just going to sleep around with anybody. So, You try to you know, strike up a conversation with her at a bar. She says, "What's your plan?" That's her first question. What's your plan? What's your plan? Do you have resources? What's your plan? Are you kind? You know? So I feel like that kind of lowers the number a bit. 1 or 2 on the Asian, 6 to 7 on the other. Not over 20, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think it's over 20. I think these chicks are pretty low. I think these chicks are pretty low. Both of them, actually. Because the other one's kind of nerdy, too. So, and they're not the most attractive looking women. Not the most attractive looking, but.
Certainty.
She's got a long dress going on. This is like some. This kind of looks like some Amish type shit. Maybe some Jewish shit. Oh, she probably is Jewish, actually. She's got a Jewish kind of look. The Free Press, you know, we know that was Barry Weiss, right? So, yeah, this kind of looks like she's probably married. If she's Jewish, numbers are probably lower. Yeah, maybe 3. Maybe 3 on her. I don't know. Deborah, she looks older. She's probably older. Maybe 6, maybe 5 on her. I think maybe Deborah has a higher body count than her now that I'm looking at him. I don't know.
None of those men are going to be invested in raising those children. Because there's this myth that with polyamory, it's more enlightened because all the adults are going to be equally raising the children. But that's not what happens. The women know which children are theirs, so they're going to be more invested in their children. And the fathers who know, hopefully know whose child is theirs, will be invested in those kids. Although cuckolding is actually pretty common even in today in terms of paternity. There's often, you know, many cases men are raising children they think are their biological children and they're not. Reading that
Jesus.
Scientific literature was wild, I have to say, because I can go into case studies of some of the things that I saw, but it's
cuckolding porn, dude. Don't get me started, man. Interracial cuckold. Damn it. God damn it. We're fucked. It's all over.
It's happening. So if there's any...
What happened, man? I used to be a kid. I used to just be a kid who was just swinging on the swings, man. Just monkey bars. What the fuck happened, man?
uncertainty...
Now we're talking interracial cuckoldry, gangbangs and shit.
That child is at a
Can't
higher
take
risk of infanticide, which is really sad.
Wow.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it.
Asian chick has to meet Hani Ram. Yeah, for real. Both of them got to meet Hani Ram.
So we've talked about social media, dating apps, unique dating and marriage arrangements that have led to this sort of distorted and warped environment of finding love and partners, which favors this 20% of high, that's like, to use a term from the manosphere.
She's feet mogging, low key. Who's feet mogging? Which one? Her?
High value men. I want to talk about what other men are doing.
Those shoes? Which shoes? The boots? I kind of like the boots.
Fill the gap.
Right.
Of dating, love, marriage. Let's start with porn. There's a section in your book on this. And I want to sort of parse it out because there's almost, as I see it, like 2 categories: traditional porn and then OnlyFans, which I think some people lump together.
Oh, we're getting into porn, boys. We're getting into porn.
But to me, there are some distinct differences. So I want to parse it out. Starting with traditional porn, one element that you talk about in the book is that it's gotten more extreme: strangulation, bondage, like gangbangs, women being peed on, just like things that.
So funny to just hear her say all these things just complete with a straight face.
I think 20 years ago would have been not as common. And
what do we think? Does she watch any of this stuff? Do we think she watches any of this stuff? That's what I would ask her. That's why I can't be interviewed by people, because I would have been like, "What do you watch any of this stuff?" Let's talk about our porn tastes. What are you into? You know, I'm into interracial, cuckoldry, gangbangs, DPs, stuff like that. What are you into? Huh? You think she'd give me a straight answer?
Now are quite common.
100% she did that. How she said it. Can we just go back and hear her say it again? Just a little bit.
Extreme strangulation, bondage, like gangbangs, women being peed on, just like things that I think 20 years.
I think she looks at gangbangs because she kind of looked down before that one.
Extreme strangulation, bondage.
This look into the camera. This look into the camera. You're guilty, dog. You're guilty. Guilty. You're guilty. This is a guilty look right here. This is a guilty look. She says, fuck. Yeah. Yep. Caught. Red-handed. Red-handed, bro. Red-handed. This is guilt. This is guilt right here. She's got it all written down like she has no idea about these genres. Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on. Notice she doesn't read gangbangs. This is one she remembers. She remembers from mind. Rewind, please. Yeah, I can rewind it. Watch.
It out because there's almost, as I see it, like two categories: traditional porn and then OnlyFans, which I think some people lump together, but to me there are some distinct differences, so I want to parse it out. Starting with traditional porn, one element that you talk about in the book is that it's gotten more extreme: strangulation, bondage, like gangbangs, women.
Look, she doesn't read that.
One element that you talk about in the book is that it's gotten more extreme: strangulation,
reading,
bondage.
So she didn't read gangbangs. She's remembering this. She's recollecting this from her brain.
Like gangbangs, women being peed on, just like things that I think 20 years ago would have been not as common and now are quite common.
Top of mind. Yeah, top of mind. At least I know what she likes now. She just needed a refresher note.
Where is this coming from? And is it mirroring people?
She pretends as much as she pretended when she said Clavicular, I think his name is. Yeah, exactly.
Pre-existing interests? Or is it informing people's interests? In other words, like, what has come first?
That's a good question.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I don't watch porn myself, but for
Bullshit. She had to, you have to throw that in there. You have to throw that in there. So this is the weird thing because she said, I don't watch porn myself. Now, if you're the other chick, everybody kind of thinks that you watch porn. Everybody thinks that you watch porn now because Deborah said that she doesn't watch it. And your silence is deafening from the other side. Your silence is deafening from the other side. If the person across from you, if there's two people in a room and the person across from you says that they don't look at porn and you don't say, yeah, I don't look at porn either. Well, now everybody thinks that you're a gooner, you know? So, yeah, you do not have to throw that in there. She doesn't have to throw that in there. I mean, that was completely uncalled for. Completely uncalled for. You didn't have to do that. Just drop that nuclear bomb. Well, I don't watch porn. How likely do we think that is, by the way? Really?
Interests. In other words, like, what has come first?
Right. So yeah, I mean, I don't watch porn myself, but for research purposes, I will go and I'll see what's popular.
I missed that part. For research purposes. For research purposes. What? You don't have to say that. Just, it's okay. It's okay if you watch porn. I mean, honestly, with this posture that she has, I don't know. I kind of believe her. That she doesn't.
And I was amazed to see that, yeah, a lot of it is very violent.
Amazed to see. She was amazed. Where you been? Where have you been living?
Very shocking. So for myself as an adult watching it, even I was, taken aback. And so I can only
Come on. Deborah, relax a little bit.
Imagine what it's like for, say, children, because
I mean, I hope she's pretty decent in the sack, you know. You never watch porn? Never? For research purposes? Only? Kirk Caldwell says Super Chat is a scam. It's so censored. You need a PayPal. You get 100%. Oh yeah. Well, I'm too lazy. I'm too lazy to hook up the PayPal, so. But yeah, I mean everything's a scam, you know. It's so censored, yeah. Well, you know, I get what you guys are saying. I mean, there would just be, honestly, it's probably best that it's a little bit censored because you guys are wild. You guys would just drop like F-bombs and be saying slut and all this shit all over the place. What the hell? Is there two? Or no? Oh. She's a missionary maxer, yeah.
is Gen Z, by having access to the internet at such a young age, they were exposed to porn at a young age and didn't realize that this is something that really only adults.
First time I watched porn, I was 13. 13. Established. It's like that EST, and then they have the date. Established. What was that? I was born in 1992, so 13, 2005. Established 2005, Gooner.
Adults should be looking at, and it's not indicative of real life sex. So I think that's shaped sexual preference.
It's 21 years under the belt? Wait, that was bad. Wait, is that right? I've been looking at it for 21 years.
Preferences and expectations somewhat with
no wonder I'm fucked.
Younger people. So I'll come back to that. But in terms of whether it is on the whole affected people, I mean, I think pre-internet porn, if someone was into, say, BDSM or kink or more violent sex, usually that's more a sign of antisociality. And those are views that were formed before, say, internet porn. They might have seen, say, a centerfold, but that's something very different compared to today's porn. So I don't believe for, say, older generations.
How do you know all this stuff if you never even watched porn? What, so you're some porn expert that like's never even watched it?
Generations of men that, or women, that these preferences are due to porn. But I'm concerned for young people because if you are watching this from such a young age, like the average age now that kids see porn is 12. 1 in 7 kids sees porn at the age of 10 or younger. I've heard cases of like 4-year-olds seeing it. So I definitely believe it's going to affect their sexual development in some way. We don't have definitive research. There has been some
4 years old, Jesus Christ.
Research to show that, you know, as you alluded to, that problematic sexual behaviors are more common in kids.
That dude's gonna turn into Dahmer, Bundy.
Kids who have been exposed to internet porn at a young age, where they will be committing sex crimes against their same age classmates, younger family members. It's really horrific. And
how does she get off? She reads PubMed.
So for younger kids, I'm very, very concerned. But I would even say for the average pro-social person, if they're watching a lot of pornography, it surely is going to be influencing their views on sex or how they think the other sex should be treated or how they think they should behave during sex. I do think that porn has influenced, say, Gen Z's women's decision to get plastic surgery, interventions like breast augmentation, BBLs, and things like that.
And for men too. Like
for men too,
penile enlargement with Botox.
Yeah, which
was interesting in the book.
Do not do that. Do not, because some men will self-inject things like oils and petroleum jelly. And it was really funny watching this expert explain on the BBC why you should not do this, because he said you have to get a skin graft and basically remove all the shaft tissue. So don't do that. Wow. If you are going to go that route, get a professional to do it. But I still say don't do that, because women actually, the research shows that women actually don't want as large of a size as men think that they want. Women on average prefer 6 inches, and men think that women want 7 inches and greater. So anyway, but in terms of, say, real life with Gen Z.
I mean, this is TMI. I definitely have 6. I definitely have 6. So
women, this phenomenon.
I'm chilling.
phenomenon of sexual choking is very, very prevalent. And what I find
Oh, she's stumbling over her words. She's nervous. Nervous. You've been watching that choking, son. You've been watching that choking.
interesting, having followed this trend, as a journalist and as a former scientist, I noticed, less than a decade ago, there were reports of non-consensual violence during sex, and millennial women were saying, I would go home with a guy, he would do things like choke me, spit on me, hit me, call me names, things like.
Silent Night says, hey, Marshall, your live broadcast is awesome. It feels like just chilling with you bros. I hope to see more of these, my friend. Great. Appreciate it, man. Love that. Good to have you. Yeah, we're still trying to figure out what the hell we're doing with this live stream, but I don't know. This might be what I'm doing for the foreseeable future. Is might just hang out and just watch podcasts together. Long form content, nothing brain rotty, where we can all get educated and just kind of shoot the shit with something going on in the background to kind of comment on, just people to clown, the posture to clown and shit. Talking about their porn preferences. This might be what we do from now on, just kind of social analyzing, nothing too crazy. Because sometimes I can't sit down here and I can't just like go off and say and just go on a monologue and have all this shit that I have right off the dome where I can have all these stories and all these insights and all this crap. So these will be good to just kind of chill out, hang out, and just watch a podcast, Because the short form content, jumping around to thing, that's not really my thing. I don't do that even when I'm alone, So I want to do something that I do normally when I'm alone that we can do. That way my brain is okay. So this is what I do. I watch like long podcasts. I'm a reader now. I'm sure you guys know I'm a reader now. So I've been reading for like over 2 weeks, 1 hour a day, sometimes more. So we're trying to get illuminated here. It's highbrow stuff. It's highbrow stuff. This is class. Classiest podcast on YouTube.
Like that. And I don't know why he thought that was okay. I was horrified, it's really disturbing and upset me.
Short
and
form
then there's
sucks,
this
yeah.
shift when I see Gen Z women talk about it where they say that they actually like it and they ask their male partners to do these things. And I suspect it's because if you grow up from a young age looking at this content and you think this is what sex is, this is just normalized, and you think whether or not you like it, I don't truly believe that most women want.
Real Hugo Boss says Teal Swan and Hani Ram have superpowers. This Asian library chick is more in Lex Luthor or Tony Stark. She probably has an organization where she kidnaps men and does experimentation in her lab. Yeah, 100%. 100%, bro. She's got nothing spiritual about her. You missed the part earlier, I think, where she was basically saying that she's only into men for like money. Like she's into men for just money, basically. So she's just money. Got nothing spiritual about her. She's got nothing on a Hani Ram, bro. Nothing on a Hani Ram. Teal Swan.
Want to be degraded during sex. I think that those who do it say they like it because they think that's what men want. And especially if you are watching this content and having an orgasm while you're watching it, you are also training your body to respond a certain way. Right. So for kids, if they're looking at this before they're even sexually active or before they have their first orgasm, I can only imagine what that
What
like
do we
because
think
they think
about
that's
this?
what men want.
What do we think about this? Because it's kind of weird because I'm very much attracted to sort of, domination and kind of treating the woman a little dirty and kind of subjugating, the dominance thing. But then she's saying this isn't good, which I kind of understand too, because it's like, if you really love the person or you're really into them, you really care about them, why do you want to, why would you want to choke them and like, call them like a slut, or like a cum dumpster, or like fuck their face or something, it's just a little weird. I mean, I get it.
Want to be degraded during sex. I think that those who do it say they like it because they think that's
who would hit that though. Yeah, we already We already been over that, Scrooge McDuck. We all would. We all would.
It's what men want. And especially if you are watching this content and having an orgasm while you're watching it, you are also training your body to respond a certain way.
Right.
So for kids, if they're looking at this before they're even sexually active or before they have their first orgasm, I can only imagine what that is doing as well to their developmental trajectory. But there are some people who are masochistic or sadistic. From a research perspective, it's associated.
What is sex even like if it doesn't have that dominant submissive dynamic? You know, what is it even like? They just, you know, I guess it's like that scene in Top Gun. You know, that scene in Top Gun where, you know, take my breath away. You know, it's just, I guess the old school sort of rom-coms, any sort of sex scene that you see in a movie, it was always just very like, it was missionary, it was like kissing, it was just like, it looked like it was just like a bonding love type sex. There was no sort of dominant submissive type thing. So, interesting.
With childhood abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, neglect, some form of trauma.
Yeah.
People get very upset when I say this because I previously came from a perspective of being very, quote, sex positive. I used to write for a well-known men's magazine that featured nude women. So people
Asian definitely seems like the sadist type. Yeah.
say, you know, how could you betray us, Deborah? Now you're saying this. But being in academia, there's very much a sentiment, especially in sex research. You know, I have a lot of respect for my friends and colleagues. Many of them are doing really great work and they're not political. But for the ones who are very woke and who push certain narratives or agendas, you know, there's an understanding in the field that you can't question some of these things. So I previously thought, okay, well.
Is that what it's called? Soft dominant? Is that what it's called? Soft dom? Not hard dom? Soft dom? Is that what it's called? She probably wants a soft dom.
Well, I guess, you know, if you're into BDSM, that's just a fun thing that you do. And the reality is when I sat down for this book and looked at newer studies and actually went back and looked at the data I collected myself when I was in the field, I was surprised to find that, yes, there are actually correlations with more severe physical abuse and interest in BDSM and kink. So I say this because, you know, I've had many people in my audience tell me I was dating someone who's really into this. She wanted to be choked or he wanted to choke me or whatever. And that was a huge red flag. And I didn't know it at the time because I thought these are just consensual choices that people have. And it's not my place, you know, to just be I should be sex positive and go along with it. So my goal in bringing attention to this is to say, you know, I hope that people get the help that they need and to heal and feel better. And that, you know, I don't think there should be shame about this, but I think we should be able to talk openly. The same with polyamory.
Shouldn't be shame about it, but, you know, then you gotta accept that it's a part of you, you know. If you can't just say that it isn't a part of you, that you're not interested in this stuff. It doesn't work like that.
I don't think shame is necessarily the approach, although it probably comes away that way. I say in the book, you should kink shame. If it's about your own personal boundaries, especially.
So she's saying that she says you should kink shame, but then she says shame is not the approach. Deborah, what are you saying?
Especially for women, because women do tend to be more agreeable. And women also, I mean, if you look at statistics in terms of the so-called orgasm gap, women are not having the same, statistically speaking, in terms of sexual encounters.
So women should kink shame because women are more agreeable and they'll more likely go along with something that they don't want to do. Whereas if you're a man, you shouldn't really kink shame a woman. Typical.
They don't have an orgasm at the same rate as straight men do. So if choking is so great and women love it, why are they not having orgasms? And I say, especially for young women, if you are not into this, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And it's totally fine to say, if a guy really wants to do that, he's not right for you.
I think also part of it is because it has normalized and because there is a cohort of women that are saying they like it, whether they actually like it or not is to be debated. I think that's an interesting point you made, that you kind of become the odd one out if you're putting the boundary or opting out. Because men are like, why? Like, this is so common.
Right, or they think you're boring.
Yeah, or like
uptight.
vanilla. Yeah, exactly. How is this all leading to less sex? And if you could touch on two interesting parts of the book that you talked about, which is
still with the posture. Incredible. It's kind of late, guys. I've been going for almost 3 hours. I gotta stop. But yeah, that was good. I think we might, this is her again in this. Oh, you guys can't see that. But yeah, I got some other podcasts kind of queued up for future live streams here, but we could continue this one tomorrow if it's interesting. But we gotta watch some money stuff, man. Some money stuff that might not be as interesting for people, but yeah. Yeah, I know the EU needs to sleep. Asians on top game must be insane. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, bro. That's what I was thinking. With that posture, man. Reverse cow. Regular cow. I mean, she would absolutely nuke you, bro. Nuke you. You wouldn't know where you were. You'd be in a different dimension. So, yeah. But yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out, guys. And I'll probably be here same time, same place tomorrow. Hong Kongler says I don't trust Allah in the slightest. It's hard to, man. It's hard to, you know. I get it. All right. Good night, everybody. She says, what the heck? Hilarious. Peace.